WFLA, an iHeart radio station.
That's going to wrap things up for today. Loaded up tonight, Lindsey Graham took down James Comey today. It's amazing he doesn't remember a thing. Senator Mitch McConnell on the confirmation process for Amy Coney Barrett. We'll check in with Rudy Giuliani, Larry Elder, Katie Pavlich, Dan Bongino, Geraldo, Greg Jarrett, Aaron Perrine, much more, 9 Eastern. We hope you set your DVR. We'll see you tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow with just 33 days until you are the ultimate jury. Thanks for being with us. See you tonight. Back here tomorrow.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
News, traffic, and weather.
This is News Radio, WFLA Tampa and WXTV HD2 Clearwater.
I'm Reed Shepard. Our top story at 6 o'clock. The Tampa Police Department is releasing body cam video that shows officers rescuing a woman who was held hostage for more than 4 hours this past weekend.
Crawl to me right now! Crawl to me right now! Crawl to me right now! Crawl to me right now, both of you on your hands and knees. Crawl to the sound of my voice.
Chief Brian Dugan says 24-year-old Tyrese Sneed broke into his ex-girlfriend's house, demanded money at gunpoint, forced the woman and another person into a car, and drove to his residence. Cops were able to track Sneed down and took him into custody. He's facing a variety of charges. The two hostages were unharmed. Head of the Florida National Guard tests positive for COVID-19.
A Guard news release says Major General James Eifert learned of a possible exposure and went into quarantine more than 2 weeks ago. Eifert then developed symptoms and was told about his positive test result. The Guard says Eifert is consulting with his doctor to make sure he doesn't return to work until he's no longer contagious. The Florida National Guard has been involved in testing more than 1 million Floridians for COVID. Eifert says his condition shows the importance of following guidelines to limit its spread. Gordon Bird, News Radio WFLA.
A Polk County grand jury has formally charged a 26-year-old man with 3 counts of first-degree murder in the fatal shooting of 3 friends who'd gathered at a lake near Frostproof in July for a late-night fishing outing. T.J. Wiggins is accused of killing Brandon Rollins, Damian Tillman, and Kevin Springfield. The murders apparently the result of Wiggins' belief that Springfield had sold his truck. Prosecutors have 45 days to determine if they'll seek the death penalty. 4 teens injured in a single car crash after a 16-year-old driver without a license lost control and hit a tree. St. Pete police say the teen was speeding and driving recklessly on 26th Avenue North. Car hit a curb and then hydroplaned into a tree. I'm Reed Shepard, News Radio, WFLA.
Wall Street is still in the red for the month, but recovered some of the ground lost this September with strong gains for the day. The Dow closed up 410 points, 1.5%. The S&P added 1.6%. The Nasdaq was up close to 2%. Get ready for a lot of virtual shopping deals in 2 weeks. Target is piggybacking on Amazon's Prime Day event. Amazon delayed the shopping bonanza because of the pandemic, but now says it will be held on October 13th and 14th. And Target has announced it will host its own deal days at the same time. Shares of both retailers rallied. Economists say this year's holiday shopping season will be a stark contrast between the have and the have-nots. People with jobs are saving more and will likely spend more on holiday gifts. The jobless and the less fortunate, though, will have little money for presents. Elon Musk is promising small investors will get a piece of his space internet business if it ever goes public, which could be years away. From Bloomberg, I'm Mona Rivera for News Radio WFLA.
Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning. For the second time in franchise history, the Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions. Champions. News Radio WFLA.
News, I'm Rich Dennison. The Commission on Presidential Debates says changes may be in store before President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden meet again.
In a statement, the commission saying last night's debate made clear that additional structure should be added to the format of the remaining debates to ensure a more orderly discussion of the issues. Changing the structure of the debates last minute is highly unusual, and it's unclear exactly what changes the commission will adopt and whether the candidates will agree to them.
Fox's John Decker in Washington. Faulty backup cameras prompting the recall of more than 700,000 Fords.
2020 F-Series trucks, Explorers, Mustangs, Transit, Expeditions, Escape, Rangers, and the Ford Edge, saying their backup cameras can show distorted images or suddenly go dark. A poor electrical connection is blamed on the problem. No report of crashes or injuries.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. America is listening to Fox News.
From the Moss Nissan Traffic Center, major delays eastbound on I-4 from this crash at McIntosh Road, taking up the left lane. Traffic is stop and go all the way back past I-75. US 92 would be a much easier alternate right now. We're seeing heavy delays, too, heading south on I-75, approaching Big Bend Road. Delays back to Sims Road, and 301 is also heavy, heading southbound, approaching Gibsonton. High winds continue on the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, and westbound I-4 solid, approaching 275. Paige Carrera, News Radio WFLA.
From the Rhino.com Weather Center, never clean your gutters again.
The early fall-like weather has arrived. Tonight, temperatures fall to a comfortable 64 degrees by Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, we'll see a lot of sun, highs near 85, and just a 10% chance for a very isolated shower, mainly farther south. Thursday night, temperatures fall to 66. Friday afternoon, near 85, with no chance for rain as the dry air sticks around. On the water tomorrow, northwest winds at 15 knots, seas 2 feet, and a moderate chop in the bay. You should use some caution if you have a small craft. I'm Max Defender 8 meteorologist Amanda Hawley.
Live, local, and something different for the drive home. This is PM Tampa Bay with Ryan Gorman on News Radio WFLA.
Welcome to PM Tampa Bay on Wednesday, September 30th. I'm Ryan Gorman. With me live out here at Raymond James Stadium, I have Greg Linnelli. Toby's out here. We've got James Berlander back at the station, and we've got a very exciting show for you tonight. We are obviously out here celebrating the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Championship. Just an incredible moment for the city of Tampa. It's going to be an incredible event. Obviously, earlier, in fact, I think they're still out there along the Riverwalk, if I'm correct. You've got that event happening, and then in just a bit, we're going to be kicking things off here at Raymond James Stadium, and just taking a look at the rundown, the run of show, what's going to happen out here. For those who managed to get tickets and will be in attendance, this is just going to be a night that they will never forget. It's obviously a little bit different because of the pandemic, the social distancing, lots of face mask wearing going on right now. I know I'm completely thrown. I haven't been out of the house. I haven't been around this many people. I think in how many months has it been, James? I think it's been 6 months, 7 months, something like that. Toby's saying 6, but I didn't really go around people long before the pandemic. So I'm wearing a hat. I never wear a hat, but it's the Stanley Cup Championship hat I've got on. So I'm a little, it's going to take me a minute to kind of get my footing here. And I tell you what, I'm glad that we're out here at Raymond James Stadium celebrating the Lightning Stanley Cup victory, and we really don't have to spend much time on the debate from last night because there's just not a lot to say. Greg Linnelli's here, game day host for the Tampa Bay Lightning Radio Network. And Greg, if you would like to offer up some in-depth analysis on last night's debate, feel free. You're more than welcome to.
Let's put it this way. I don't think it swayed anybody. I don't think it swayed anybody.
I think you're right. And I think for the people to watch it, they're coming out here tonight, it will be a nice break.
For sure.
It'll get their mind back
for sure
in the right place. So what I wanted to do, because the festivities here are really going to kick off around 7:30, and we're hoping to have some special guests join us throughout the night. It's going to be kind of fluid out here, but hopefully we'll have some special guests, whether it's players, coaches, other individuals from the Lightning organization stop by to chat a little bit about this historic season. But what I wanted to kind of do with you, Greg, since obviously you're the one to go to when it comes to how this season unfolded, was just kind of take a look back for a little bit. I've been a little involved in a pandemic and an election year, so I have not paid as close attention to the Lightning season as probably you have. I kind of picked it up when the playoffs came around.
Sure.
And even then, I got to be honest with you, at the start of the playoffs, I wasn't so sure they were going to make it through the whole thing, but the NHL did a fantastic job, and the bubble worked up in Canada, and it was flawless for the NHL. So let's go back to the beginning. Obviously, going into the season, you're coming off what was just a really disappointing postseason last year. And what was the sense that you got from the team in terms of their motivation going in and their expectations coming into the season?
Businesslike.
Yeah.
I think when you I mean, it was one of the greatest disappointments in sports history.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about
it really
what
was
they
that
accomplished.
historic.
It was. I mean, and they knew that. Mm-hmm. I think they also prepared themselves.
Well, we all reminded them of that, too.
We did. And that was our job. But I think they prepared themselves for that mentally. Look, every day you're going to be asked, how do you get over that hump after that disappointment? They handled it pretty well. But, Ryan, the biggest thing was the mindset going into training camp. Let's be better defensively. If we do that, we'll give ourselves a chance to win. I know that may seem small, but for a team that would score 4, 5, 6 goals a game, it was always, well, how many are you going to give up?
Right.
Can you D it down when you need to? And they did, and they brought in a couple of guys in the offseason, Shattenkirk, Luke Shen, and then during the trade deadline, Blake Coleman and Barclay Goodrow, Zach Bogosian, which were more grit guys for the most part, outside of Shattenkirk, who's an offensive defenseman.
Yeah.
They brought in guys who had that mindset, we're going to block shots, we're going to do the dirty work. And, boy, once the playoffs hit, you could sense it was, all right, we won one, let's win the next one. Nothing's done until we finish it off.
Just from the eye test, it was a much different team this year in the playoffs. But you were talking about defense and the focus on that. Now, the Tampa Bay Lightning have one of the best goalies, if not the best goalie in the league. So when you say defense, you're talking about other aspects.
Being better with the puck in your own zone, not necessarily chasing. If you're up 3-1, you don't have to make it 5-1.
Right.
Make the smart play. You're in the zone, dump the puck in.
Yeah.
Live to fight another day. Doesn't happen every game, but for the most part, they did a much better job. And then if you do break down, to your point, I think he's the best goaltender in the league. I think he's been that way the last 2 years. He's really, really good, and he's able to cover up some mistakes. So factor that all in, and then you have the experience of a team that the core group has been there since 2015. Remember, they played in a championship. It was the perfect storm, and they took advantage of it.
I was talking to Kaylee Chilios last night about the run and the team and all of that. And I lived a couple of years in Chicago during the height of the Blackhawks run.
There you go.
And again, when it comes to hockey, I don't watch every regular season game. I'll pop in and out, and then obviously when the playoffs come around, though, I think playoff hockey is the best. It's the best postseason in all of sports. And when I was up in Chicago watching those Blackhawk teams and how they handled their business and the talent they had on the team, this Lightning group reminds me a bit of them just from a sheer talent standpoint. I mean, they've got just big names who get the job done, who are some of the best in the league at their positions. Are there similarities between the two teams?
No doubt. I mean, and it's funny, 2015, the Blackhawks beat the Lightning. Lightning were actually up in that series.
I remember. I was up in Chicago, and I'm saying, well, you know, it'd be nice for the city of Chicago. I'm here, but I'm a Tampa Bay guy. I want to see the Lightning win.
So I'm from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, like Chicago, when you talk about in the salary cap era, they've been dynasties. And a lot of people feel like this Lightning team can kind of be that same boat. Because, Ryan, not only do they have the talent, for sure, which you illustrate, and we can get into that later, they manage the cap well, and more importantly, they're developing talent. So if you lose a guy in the offseason, you can bring up a Braden Point. A couple years ago, people were like, Braden Point, second-round pick. Guy's the best player on their team. When you think about it. I mean, Vasilevsky, Hedman for sure, but in terms of overall play.
Right.
So, yes, I agree with you. And really, when you take a look at the last couple of years, they were in the Eastern Conference Final.
Right there.
3-2, and they lost to Washington and Pittsburgh.
I remember, and there are some people in the city who blame this show for the live broadcast that we did, the potential bad luck that we brought to Amalie Arena during that Washington Capitals series. I don't really want to get into all of that. But yeah, they've been right there for years now.
They have.
And that was kind of, not to get ahead of ourselves, but that was kind of some of the conversation with Kaylee last night was, where do you see this going? Is this sustainable? And you know, when you've got players at the level that the Tampa Bay Lightning have some of their key players at, you got to be able to hang on to them, and that can get expensive, and that's when you're crunching the numbers. But look, how many different publications, how many different sporting, groups look at this organization and say they're the best run, not just in hockey, but in all of sports, to be able to sustain something like that.
Well, and when you win a championship, as you know, you become elevated a little bit more. There's no doubt in terms of well-run organizations in all of sports, they're up there. They're in the top 10. Whether people pay attention to hockey or not to give them that nod, that's up for debate. But I think people who understand sports gets the fact that this is an organization that does it right. They treat their fans well. They always have sellouts. They keep their star players, and they draft well.
Yeah.
You do that,
okay,
you give yourself a chance to win every year.
And you know what's so interesting, especially about this year here in 2020, we're seeing the Lightning win the Stanley Cup championship. They go all the way. They win. You've got the Tampa Bay Rays in the playoffs. They were the top seed, winning the AL East. Everybody knows that's a well-run organization, if not the best-run baseball operation in Major League Baseball. Then you have the Bucks, who somehow all of a sudden are bringing in Tom Brady and Gronkowski.
Some excitement, right?
Yeah, it really is incredible. Tampa Bay, a city, not quite there with New York or L.A. or, some of the really great sports towns, whether it's St. Louis in baseball or Pittsburgh, like you mentioned, with hockey. But we are making our mark, and this city's doing it the right way, a very smart way.
Yeah, and as you know, when you win, people will come.
Yeah.
Brady certainly brings the excitement from football. Rays, they continue to draft and develop, and that's key in that small market business. And in the Lightning's case, it was a matter of getting the right ownership, then getting the right general managers. Keep in mind, Steve Eisman, before Julien Brisebois, did a really good job of setting it up.
Yeah.
Brisebois goes out and makes a couple of trades during the season, and they were huge. And then you have to have elite players, to which you talked about. So Kucherov, he could make a case, top 5 offensive player in the game.
Yeah.
Vasi, best goaltender in the game. Hedman, best defender in the game. And Braden Point, you're going to start to see accolades come his way now. Best two-way player in the game.
And you didn't even mention Stamkos.
One of the best goal scorers of this generation.
Right,
and they won it with him playing 2 minutes and 47 seconds.
But what a 2 minutes, and that really is another great part of this Stanley Cup run, is that he's injured. Everybody's asking constantly, to the point where I remember, in fact, I was talking to Jay Retcher about this the other night because I couldn't remember who it was during the press conference who asked Coach Cooper. It must have been like the 100th time he had gotten asked the question, what's the deal with Stamkos? And he kind of blew and was like, well, I'll tell you when I know. I don't have anything new for you. But then he comes back, and he's only in for 2 minutes, but he scores a goal and makes the mark, and that was big, man.
So the day after, we do a daily show on Lightning Power Play, noon to 1, Dave Michigan and I do it. I came out and said that might have been the most iconic sports moment in Tampa Bay sports history. So you can go back and we can we can talk about the Rays and some of the things they've done. Football, we can have a conversation about it. And Marty St. Louis, what he did in 2004 in double overtime, we can certainly have it. But when you think about, I thought Willis Reed, Kirk Gibson, injured.
It was one of those kinds of moments.
I mean, he doesnn't play the rest of the playoffs, but he comes down on the right side, a sniper shot in Game 3, gives his team a 2-goal lead, and you're thinking, that's a movie. That's a movie.
Yep.
And Steven Stamkos, who is if he continues on this way, he's a Hall of Famer. Who would have thought that? It was incredible. You got chills watching it.
Yeah, just another one of those moments, and there were many throughout the course of these playoffs. All right, when we come back, I want to go back to the beginning of the season because the season didn't really start out all that great for the Lightning, and then they really caught fire, and then, of course, you have the pandemic and just the uniqueness of this past season. So we'll get into all of that and a whole lot more here in a moment. We are live from Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration, which is going to kick off at 7:30. More with Greg Linnelli, game day host for the Tampa Bay Radio Lightning Network. We're going to come back. We'll have more from Raymond James in a second. We were just talking about how Tampa is the best at so many different things. And, hey, when it comes to real estate, we've got the best right here, too. Not only does 1-800-OUT-FAST Realty offer you a traditional real estate model with over 30 agents right here in Tampa Bay, but 1-800-OUT-FAST Realty is also a home buying company. They do it all. 1-800-OUT-FAST Realty will sell your house in this booming housing market. Now's the time to take advantage of it. You can downsize, upgrade, or put the extra cash you need in your pocket for the future. Call 1-800-OUT-FAST 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They always answer the phone at 1-800-OUT-FAST. 1-800-OUT.
Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning. For the second time in franchise history, the Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions. News Radio WFLA.
We are live out at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration. It kicks off at 7:30. All the media is out here. There's some TV hits going on as we speak. I'm out here with Greg Linnelli, and we're just kind of recapping the Tampa Bay Lightning season. Real quick, I have to mention, though, looking at one of the end zone scoreboards, video boards, it's showing the boat parade along Riverwalk. That person is chugging champagne right now. So it looks like the people out there are having a good time. There's one thing that the Tampa Bay area knows how to do. It's put on a boat parade. We become like aficionados at it. So that's happening. The team is going to make their way over to Raymond James in just a little bit, and we're going to hear from everybody, from the entire team. All the big names are going to have something to say, and we're going to carry all of it live right here on News Radio WFLA. So everything that happens out here at Raymond James Stadium, aside from maybe, the occasional F-bomb if one of the players gets super excited, aside from that, we're going to carry everything live for you. So if you can't be out here, and unfortunately because of the pandemic, there were a limited number of tickets that were available for something like this, we will bring it to you. You get to hear it as it happens. So stick with us all throughout the night as we celebrate the Lightning Stanley Cup victory. So, Greg, let me go back to the beginning of the season because, they were coming off. Obviously, you had the playoff disappointment, but the regular season last year was tremendous. Mm-hmm. And things didn't really start out quite like I'm guessing they had hoped at the beginning of the season. And sometimes it's hard to remember how it started because so much has happened since then. But talk a little bit about the start that they got off to. Not a bad one, but not...
Yeah, I think some of that probably was the hangover, too.
Yeah.
I think... They're human beings, they're athletes, and you come into training camp and you know it's going to be a grind because for the things that we had talked about, people are going to ask you, what happened? Yeah. And I think it just takes a lot out of you because you understand, look, we had the best season in quite some time, NHL history, and we couldn't get out of the first round or win a game.
Right.
So I think that probably hovers over you a bit because what does the regular season mean at that point? It's kind of like, come on.
Do you think you're around the players, you talk to the players, when you're at the level the Lightning are at, and sometimes you kind of wonder this in other sports too, like whether it was the Patriots during their run in football or LeBron James in basketball, when you've got these teams that are just, they're going to be in the playoffs, is it tough to get up for the regular season? Are they just kind of looking ahead and saying, hey, I just want to get in the playoffs and get to work on winning the championship?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to just fast forward to the playoffs and say, if we're an A seed, we're an A seed, but let's just get in and redeem ourselves. But you got to get in first before you can do that. So I think it took a while. Then they had winning streaks of 9, 11. Yeah. Things started
when
to
it
click.
Kicked into gear, really kicked into gear.
I think they realized, you know what? And some of it, too, was they were trying to figure out a different way to play. And when I say different, paying a little bit more attention to defense, be a little bit better with the puck, don't turn it over. It takes a little bit of time to adjust when you're a team that likes to get up and down the ice and score goals. Not to say that was taken away completely, but that mindset needed to change, and it took a little bit of time. But as I've said over and over again, Ryan, it really doesn't matter what your record is to get into the playoffs. Just get in because there's a lot of parity in today's game. So if Tampa Bay ended up being the 8th seed, do you think the number 1 seed wanted to face them?
No, right.
No, for all the reasons that we talked about. So just get in, figure it out. But they started to play a lot better. It started to click. They make a couple of trades at the deadline. That woke a lot of people up because they gave up a lot to get a couple of role players.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. You can give up a couple of first-round picks. If you end up winning the championship because of it, who cares?
And, let's talk about those role players for a second because one of the things that I really noticed, and I thought this was a problem last year and really in the past couple of years in the playoffs, there was a bit of an edge that seemed to be missing from this team. They were fast, they were talented, they can get up and down the ice, but hockey's a grind and it's a tough sport, and not to say the guys in the Lightning, they're not tough. Certainly wouldn't say that to their face, but but there's some players bring this attitude, this edge, the dirty work. That's what they do, and it felt like the moves during the trade deadline led to them having more of that, and I thought it was really noticeable during the playoffs.
Barclay Goodrow, who they ended up giving a lot to get, was basically a fourth-line player. he might have been, in terms of the guys they got at the deadline, might have been the best player. I mean, he was that killing penalties, winning face-offs, engaging physically with a lot of players after the whistle, which is what you want.
Yeah.
But it started, too, in training camp. Mikhail Sergachev, offensive defenseman. He was the guy they brought back in the Jonathan Drouin trade. He decided to take another step in his development by being physical. And when he did that, his game went to another level. Then you had guys like Shen, who they brought in the offseason. He can be physical. But it was a mindset for some players that, all right, maybe they had to change a little bit. Sergachev did that. Trade deadline did that. Stamkos, when he was healthy, was playing a grinding type of game as well. So I think there's some leadership involved in there. If your best player is going to do it, a lot of guys figure, all right, we got to do it. And I think some of the trades that they did make helped in getting to that point.
Yeah, I mean, certainly when you were watching them play in just the last two series, the Islanders, I mean, it was a pretty physical, series.
Dallas was physical.
Yeah, and Dallas too. And whereas in past postseasons, not that the Lightning wouldn't have pushed back, but boy, they didn't seem to care one bit. If it was go time, it was go time.
Well, they had guys, I mean, and look, and you and I, when we were talking on your show last week, being tough doesn't necessarily mean drop the gloves, but if you wanted to do that, they've got Sergachev, Shen, Coburn, Gord, Goodrow. I mean, they had some guys that can throw.
Yeah.
And they've always been an aggressive team, and they'll be in the top 5, top 10 in hits, but it was a different kind of physicalness this year, and I think guys understood they had to pay a price to get to where they needed to go. And even Kucherov in the Stanley Cup Finals was back-checking and playing good defense. And when you see a guy like that do it, you feel like, all right, everybody's buying in to what we need to do.
All right, when we come back, I want to spend some time on the pandemic and how that impacted the season, and then we'll get into the playoffs. So we've got a lot to run through. Again, as we take a look back at this really great Lightning season that culminated in a Stanley Cup championship. We're live out here at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration that will kick off at 7:30 right here on News Radio WFLA. I'm looking at the big screen here. The Stanley Cup is out on the Riverwalk right now, and boy, you could be a ways away and see that. I mean, that is just, if you've never seen it in person before, it is a big cup. And looks like all along the Riverwalk, people are checking out the Lightning as they make their way eventually here to Raymond James Stadium for the big event tonight. So we'll be back with more live here on News Radio WFLA. This is PM Tampa Bay. You know, being out here at Ray J, it is so nice. Finally, summer has subsided. The fall weather is here. And I think this is the best time to do some grilling. And now, you don't have to go out and exchange your propane tank ever again. You just go to cinch.com and you'll get your next tank of propane for your grill delivered straight to your front door. No delivery fees, no contact, no problems. They handle it all. Go to cynch.com, enter your address, select your delivery date, and from there, Cinch is going to handle the rest for you. Your new barbecue grill tank delivered right to your home. And right now, you can get your first tank exchange for just $10. It's a deal you cannot beat. Use promo code Ryan at cinch.com. That's promo code Ryan at cynch.com. First tank exchange, just $10. Save time and money by ordering your next propane tank from cinch.com. This way you can stay put, stay grilling, and stay safe with Cinch.
News, traffic, and weather.
Tampa Bay's News Radio, WFLA.
Hispanics are being urged to take part in vaccine trials so that the best medicine can be developed to fight the coronavirus.
Try and get your constituents to take a look at the trial and to seriously consider enrolling in these vaccine trials, which are going to be done with the highest degree of safety to try and get the best scientific approach.
Florida members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus also discussed with Dr. Anthony Fauci why the infection rate is so much higher in the Latino community. The latest numbers from the Florida Department of Health show another 1,948 cases confirmed, along with 174 resident deaths. And Air Force forecasters say there is a 70% chance of favorable weather conditions for tonight's scheduled launch from Cape Canaveral. United Launch Alliance will attempt to launch a Delta IV Heavy rocket with a spy satellite aboard at 11:54. With Florida's news, I'm Al Lewis.
From the Moss Nissan Traffic Center, eastbound I-4 back up to speed. Earlier problems at McIntosh Road have been clear, but delays continue southbound 275 from a crash between Bierce Avenue and Fletcher, taking up 2 lanes. This report is sponsored by T-Mobile for Business. T-Mobile Business Advantage. Get up to 90 days of unlimited free on-business plans via bill credits when you switch, plus taxes and fees. Stop by for details. Over 50 gigabytes per month at lower speeds during congestion. Video at 480p. See T-Mobile.com. Paige Carrera, News Radio WFLA.
The early fall-like weather has arrived. Tonight, temperatures fall to a comfortable 64 degrees by Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, we'll see a lot of sun, highs near 85, and just a 10% chance for a very isolated shower, mainly farther south. Thursday night, temperatures fall to 66. Friday afternoon, near 85, with no chance for rain as the dry air sticks around. On the water tomorrow, northwest winds at 15 knots, seas 2 feet, and a moderate chop in the bay. You should use some caution if you have a small.
From the 1-800-OUT-FAST Realty Studios, News Radio, WFLA, and online at WFLAnews.com.
This is PM Tampa Bay live out at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration. I'm out here with Greg Linelli, and I tell you what, the last couple of minutes have been very traumatic. It's been quite a situation that has developed out here at Raymond James Stadium. As everybody who listens to the show knows, I never leave my place. I do the show from my dining room. I don't venture out, and that has nothing to do with the pandemic. That's generally how I live my life. But, there are times where I have to go out and do certain things, and this is one of them. And somehow, we're not 100% sure what it was, but we think it was some kind of animal defecation that wound up on my laptop, on the mouse track part of my laptop.
Isn't that good luck?
They always say
Maybe
that.
It's good luck.
They always say that. If a bird craps in your head, that's
unless
good luck.
It's you, right?
How is that good luck? To me, that's horrifying. It's a day ruiner.
Oh, man.
So we don't know exactly what it was, but it was some kind of a brownish substance, very small, but it ended up on my laptop. Then I touched it, and so it has been about 5 minutes of nonstop sanitizing of my hands, my laptop, everything around me, and I'm just trying to gather myself. This is one of those moments where I wish I had some Xanax on me or something, because I could certainly use it, or a drink or something like that. So, all right, let's get back to the Lightning, the thing we're here to talk about, not all of my problems. The pandemic, when that hit, kind of step us through, because it's almost hard to remember how it all unfolded. I remember the NBA being the first one to shut it all down, and then all the rest of the leagues followed quickly after that.
Yeah.
But kind of how did that play out for the Lightning, and how did that affect them?
Yeah, when that happened, we were getting ready for a game that night, and you get word that the season's canceled, and I think probably like a lot of people, when the pandemic was going on, life became a bit bigger than sports. Yeah. So I don't think anybody necessarily disagreed with the decision. The question was, how long and was the season going to be canceled? Because I think for the Lightning, and I think John Cooper talked about this during the Stanley Cup final at the end when they won it, they didn't know if they were coming back.
Right.
And I think for a team that had that sour taste in their mouth from the previous year, the worst thing you could possibly want is the season to be canceled while you were going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think there was some uncertainty, and then I think when the league decided they were going to try and pull this off, there were a lot of media members in Canada. I remember talking about this on the air. They were like, no way. They're not coming. They shouldn't come back. No, they can't come back. And I kept saying, if they can, they're going to come back. There's just too much money at stake. And, I think when we found out about the pandemic and how many people it affected, who it really attacks, I think that's when the bubble scenario came up. How can we make this safe for the players and pull this off? So there was like 6 or 7 destinations. Tampa, I think, was actually one of them, where they would come and bubble up, so to speak. Mm-hmm. They chose 2 markets in Canada, and I think a lot of that was to probably appease where hockey kind of originated from, and obviously had to have the amenities to pull it off, and they did. Yeah.
And at the time, I mean, you don't have to get into this, but I'll get into the politics of it too. At the time when those decisions were made, Canada wasn't facing the situation that we were facing here in the United States. Sure. So it seemed to make a little bit more sense to try and do it up there. And really what we saw from the NHL, and for the most part, we've seen it in all the sports, although baseball had a rough time early on, and the NFL now is dealing with some things, college football as well. The NBA did a pretty good job too, although they had a few moments that really even hockey didn't have. It was flawless in terms of how the bubble was executed.
They tested, every day, a couple times a day. It was an exorbitant amount of money that they had to spend to pull that off. And they expanded the playoffs. And that was the other thing, too. I think they went into 24 teams. Yeah. That even teams that were borderline that weren't making the playoffs had, when the regular season ended up playing in a kind of a quote-unquote preliminary round. Mm-hmm. And the Lightning were one of the top 4 seeds, so they played in a round robin. And that was one of the concerns. When they took a vote to talk about, are you cool with this format, the Lightning originally were like, no, we don't like this notion that we're going to be playing in not meaningful games. Yeah. Because, they were like, look, we need to be sharp. Mm-hmm. But you weren't going to please everybody. And that was a final. They agreed to it, obviously, but I think they wanted to make sure that they were sharp heading into this. And they performed well during the round robin. I think it was enough competition to get them ready to go. And it also gave the NHL at the time a lot of exclusive coverage. There was games going on 3 times a day, which gave you that kind of March Madness feel to it.
It did.
And, I don't know if that's going to bring in more fans. That's debatable, but for a little bit, the NHL was dominating the sports scene.
Yeah, it was like noon, 3, and then there was an evening game.
Right.
And I remember the Lightning, I think it was the first round, it was all like 3 o'clock games, which was a little...
incredible.
Well, yeah, it was incredible. For me, I have an easier time of it when the Lightning play in the evening. I kind of get the night off.
You do?
I'm like, why are they playing these 3 o'clock games? Doesn't make any sense. But, yeah, so there was a lot going on up in Canada as they were trying to make this happen. The bubble, have you talked to players, members of the organization, to get a sense as to what exactly was going on up in Canada when they weren't on the ice?
So it's basically the places they stayed connected to the arena.
Okay.
They made sure that everything was basically inclusive. So you could go play tennis, they had some golf, movie theaters. They really tried to make it accommodating to the players. I can tell you for a fact, Rick Bowness, who used to coach here in Tampa and was the Stars head coach, I think he came out after the first round and basically was like, this is really hard for the play. You guys don't understand. We're basically doing the same thing over and over again. We're away from our families. Yeah. We can't blow off steam if we wanted to. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the part people don't understand, how difficult of a transition it was to get the season in and get it done.
Yeah.
But as much as you want to say we had everything for you, you couldn't leave. Mm-hmm. You couldn't do anything. So I think that part was challenging. It was hard. That's why I give credit to the Lightning. And the fact that they won it, I think, is probably one of the more remarkable championships in the history of winning championships when you factor in the circumstances. So. No fans.
No.
Think about that. No fans during the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
And I think that made it probably more special in a lot of ways.
And, there are all these debates taking place, especially with baseball, where they had a really short season, and hockey got interrupted, and then you had the expanded playoffs and all of that, and how does it compare to other seasons? But the challenges that the players faced and the league faced this time around were something that we'd never dealt with before.
And you had, a guy like Blake Coleman who just had a baby, and he goes away, and you don't see your kid for a couple of months.
Yeah.
There's a human element to that. Part of you is like, all right, you're getting paid a lot of money. It's your job. If they tell you to show up, you got to go play. That's what you do. It's not going to this is an extreme circumstance. It's not going to happen every year. But I think you also understand that's a really tough grind, especially for guys who are just starting out with families.
And this group, this Tampa Bay Lightning team, how are they together? I'm sure not all of them are best friends. Sure. You always have some individuals whenever you have a group that big that you don't quite see eye to eye with. But for the most part, was this a team where putting them in that position where they were just going to be with each other for such an extended period of time with all the pressure that they had to deal with this time around. Certainly they were able to handle it because they won the Stanley Cup, but just talk a little bit about that dynamic, the chemistry within the team.
Well, when they clinched it, they had Steven Stamkos and Victor Hedman together speaking to the media. And you could tell those guys came in together, basically, their longest tenured Lightning players, and you could see the admiration they have for one another. And when I think it starts with your captains and your best players, that trickles down. A lot of those guys I told you before, core group of players, were back there in 2015. That's hard in the salary cap era when you have constant movement.
Yeah.
So a lot of those guys, I think, bought in. And I think because of the hardships they faced over the last couple of years, it did make them closer because not a lot of people were sympathetic to the Tampa Bay Lightning after what happened last year.
Right.
The only ones who were going to be in that locker room. So that helped. And I think it is a pretty close-knit group, as much as you can in a free agent world that has a salary cap. And, the head coach is longest tenured head coach. That helps. And I think stability helped in that environment.
Let's talk about Coach Cooper for a second, because how close was he to potentially losing the head coaching job after the playoff exit last year? Was that ever something that was really considered, or for the most part they were going to give him another round? But you have to imagine if they didn't make it and win this year, maybe another.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair question, and I think.
And this is a town where we've seen that before. I mean, if you go back and you remember the Bucks under Tony Dungy, they were a great team, just couldn't get over the hump, and then eventually they brought John Gruden in.
I think if it was thought about, it wasn't for long. Okay. I mean, I think it's probably normal after you have a collapse like that to reevaluate. All right. What are we doing?
Yeah.
But I think the track record, for the most part, of winning everywhere he's been, the temptation was, all right, let's bring him back, and was that a fluke?
Yeah.
And it ended up being a fluke. Not to give credit to Columbus for beating Tampa Bay, whatever. But I think for the most part, John Cooper, again, in this era where there's constant movement, to be able to get his team to change a bit the way they played, that's a pretty impressive thing to do, because athletes can tune you out, especially ones that have been with you for so long.
And his relationship with the players, you always hear, is this guy a player's coach or more of a disciplinarian? What is it for him? What mold does he
Probably a little bit of both. I mean, I remember one game where, Kucherov had a turnover, and he didn't play him the rest of the game. And I was earlier in the year, and maybe you can get away with that, but get your attention of your best offensive player. You certainly can do that. And he wasn't afraid to mix up the lineups. They would go 11-7, 11 forward, 7 defensemen. They would go 12-6, and that takes some massaging of the players' egos and to make sure guys are happy. And I think he did a pretty good job of that throughout the season, keeping guys ready to go.
We are live at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration. Lightning having a great time on the Riverwalk tonight, and they'll make their way here. Fans are starting to enter Raymond James Stadium for this event. You can hear some of the music in the background, some of the festivities already happening. It's going to be a tremendous night, and what a perfect night, too, to have an event like this, the day that things take a turn towards the fall. So really just an incredible moment for the city of Tampa. We've got a lot more still to run through here on this special edition of PM Tampa Bay. Back with more in a moment. Who would have thought at the beginning of this year Lightning would be the Stanley Cup champions? Who would have thought we would be going through a pandemic? Who would have thought so many different things that have happened this year would have happened? And that's why you always need to be prepared for the unexpected. And when it comes to your retirement and your wealth, you work too hard for it to take any chances. People all across the Tampa Bay area have put their trust in Steve and Elizabeth Holland for over 25 years. Retirement could be a long time for you. Hopefully it is. You want to make sure you can get through it smoothly. And they've got a 3-step process to make sure you're on the right track. You'll set up a meeting. You'll take a look at your current financial situation. You'll figure out what your retirement needs are, and then you'll get a custom strategy to reach your goals. And there's so many different things that can help you with retirement planning, wealth management, tax-efficient planning. The list goes on and on and on. Give Steve and Elizabeth a call at 727-228-4673. If you want to shoot them a text, you can do that. Text RETIRE to 474747, or you can reach out to them and their entire team of retirement wealth advisors online at
WFLAnews.com. Available anywhere on our iHeartRadio app. Now #1 for podcasting. News Radio WFLA, an iHeartRadio station.
PM Tampa Bay, I'm Ryan Gorman, live out at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration. I'm here with Greg Linnelli, and I'm here with Greg Wolf, in-game host for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Boy, of all the people, obviously the players and many in the Lightning organization would have loved to have had a normal playoff run and Stanley Cup final, but you're the in-game host.
I know,
Can you
man.
imagine what that would have been like?
Listen, we've been. I really can't. I can and I can't. Obviously, we've been down this path before. With the cup and being in the finals, and obviously it not going our way. So it is a little bittersweet this time around to not have a full stadium at Amalie Arena to watch us hoist that cup. I mean, if it was still a normal season, we wouldn't have watched it at home anyways. Game 6 would have been in Dallas, but it's besides the point. I was just glad to at least have been in Amalie Arena with some season ticket members to at least have some sort of normalcy when it comes to the game presentation. So a little bit. It was nowhere near the same, but I'm excited to be here tonight at Raymond James Stadium, so at least we've got some sort of way to connect with the fans and enjoy this, man.
What was it like inside Amalie Arena? Because I saw some of the videos of just the scene as the Lightning were winning the Stanley Cup, and it was pretty incredible.
It was rambunctious, to say the least. We all lost our minds. The fans that were in the building, it was rambunctious. You couldn't have told me that there was 1,000 people in there. You would have thought there was 20,000 people in that stadium. So, and then outside was pandemonium outside on 4th Thunder Alley and Sparkman Wharf. And when I left, I don't think I even left Amalie until after 1 a.m. that night. Mm-hmm. And the streets of Tampa Bay were just rambunctious. But you know what? That's expected. We earned this. We've waited 16 years for this to happen. So people are just ready to let loose, man.
No, I know. I saw, all the different images from downtown, from Amalie Arena. I had to be the one that would put out on Twitter, I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, but a little social distancing, a couple face masks here and there wouldn't hurt anybody, but it was certainly a good time.
Of course.
And it's going to be really cool here. And to be able to do it at Raymond James Stadium on a night like this when it's so nice
Beautiful out. It was made for us tonight, man. It's unbelievable. I mean, again, like you said, we can't have 70,000 in here tonight, but as you guys are seeing, it's starting to fill in. It's going to be loud. It's going to be good, man.
So when you're doing all the things that you do during the game for the Tampa Bay Lightning, kind of step us through what that's like, just that experience.
I mean, I'm very fortunate to have the job that I have. This is my 13th season. I started with the team back in 2006, obviously after the lockout year, after we had won the Cup. So I've seen it from all angles as far as the organizational standpoint, but to learn to be a part of literally the best game presentation in the entire industry, not just NFL, NHL, MLB, I mean, you name it. The Lightning by far have the best quality product on a game night out of any of the pro sports. And we hear that from fans from all over that come to watch us here at Amalie Arena. So it's a crazy intense game night. There's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes that people don't really realize. I mean, they come to the game, they watch the game, but everything that happens behind the scenes, the stuff that you guys are seeing, the production value, the video B-rolls, the vignettes, the community hero stuff, me running around the building, giving stuff away to fans, engaging with them. There's a lot that goes involved into a game night.
When you do the engagement with fans, and we have about a minute left here, but when you do the engagement with fans, do you find that once they're about to do whatever it is you have set up, I mean, how nervous are they in front of a whole arena?
They do. And the funniest one, I'll touch on it, is when we do the tic-tac-goal game, where you literally have two opponents on the ice. They're shooting at opposite ends. They get a goal. They get to put a tic-tac-toe piece on the board. And you ask them before the game, you guys remember how to play tic-tac-toe, right? They're like, yes, 3 up, 3 squares, okay. And then as soon as they get out there, they completely forget how to play tic-tac-toe, and they mess it up. It happens every time. It's just because they're nervous.
Yeah,
you get out there in front of 20,000 fans.
Right.
You completely forget and you get nervous, and so that it's funny, man. It does happen.
Well, you don't want to make an ass out of yourself.
Well, you don't, but it happens all the time. So, but we love it, man. Fans love it.
Well, Greg, thanks so much for stopping by, and
thank
thanks
you guys for having me, man. Go Bolts!
It's a tremendous night. The fans are starting to come into Ray J now, so it's starting to fill. I think there's going to be about 15,000 fans total here in Ray J for this event, and on the big screen here at the stadium. Stadium. We're getting to see some of the images from the Riverwalk and the Stanley Cup making its way down the river. The players smoking some cigars, drinking some champagne. So a big celebratory night here in the Tampa Bay area. The city certainly deserves it. It's been a hell of a year, and we're having some fun now with our Stanley Cup champion, Tampa Bay.
iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
News, traffic, and weather.
This is News Radio, WFLA Tampa and WXTV HD2 Clearwater.
Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden and his wife Jill will campaign Monday in South Florida, 3 days after President Trump holds a rally in Sanford. NBC News reports the Democratic candidate will appear Monday night in Miami at a town hall event hosted by nightly news anchor Lester Holt. Trump is slated to hold a rally Friday evening at Orlando Sanford International Airport. The appearances come about a month before the November 3rd general election. The coronavirus hitting the Hispanic community especially hard in states like Florida, and that has the nation's leading infectious disease expert worried.
Clearly, we have an extraordinary problem, one that we can begin to address now by making sure that the resources regarding testing and immediate access to care are focused with the distribution of resources among the Latinx community.
Dr. Anthony Fauci. As of today, there are 706,516 cases of COVID-19 in Florida. That's an increase of almost 2,000 cases from Tuesday. Starting tomorrow, be on the lookout for Miami-Dade police cars sporting custom new paint jobs. The shiny pink cruisers are to bring attention to Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Officers honoring friends and relatives who lost their lives to breast cancer and raising money for those battling cancer.
The studies show that when this is caught early, there's a much greater chance of survival. So it's very important that that awareness get out there and that everyone be committed to trying to find that cure.
Major David de las Praia, president of the Miami-Dade Chiefs of Police Association. Air Force forecasters say there is a 70% chance of favorable weather conditions for tonight's scheduled launch from Cape Canaveral. United Launch Alliance will try to launch a Delta IV Heavy rocket with a spy satellite aboard at 11:54. With Florida's news, I'm John Conrad.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. For Wall Street, it's all about the stimulus. Hopes for a stimulus deal boosted stocks, but the gains faded after no deal was reached. Talks are continuing. The Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped 329. The S&P rose 28. The Nasdaq Composite added 82. For big banks looking to raise their dividends or buy back stock, it's wait till next year. The Fed is extending limits put in place in June, saying banks need to preserve capital as the pandemic lingers. Marathon Petroleum is cutting 12% of its workforce, with gasoline demand showing no sign of returning to its pre-pandemic level. The cuts include both filled and unfilled positions. A railroad linking Alaska and Alberta is closer to reality. The team behind the project aims to start prep work for construction in December, with service beginning in 2025. Backers see the project as boosting development in the region. Larry Kofsky.
Shutdown likely averted. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News.
The yeas are 84, the nays are 10. The bill is passed.
Just hours before funding was to run out, the Senate aligning with the House, approving a measure that will keep the government running through December 11th. The bill now heads to President Trump for his signature. Over in the House, a vote on a new round of coronavirus aid has been postponed to allow more talks with the Trump administration on a more bipartisan plan. Earlier today, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell expressed frustration that the package has been stalled.
Well, I've made it clear, and my colleagues have as well, that we would like to see another rescue package. We actually had a vote on one that included, by the way, coverage for pre-existing conditions just a few weeks ago. Every single Democrat prevented us from moving forward with that bill.
The House vote could come tomorrow. On the eve of the third anniversary of the worst mass shooting in modern history, a settlement reached between the more than 4,400 relatives and victims and casino company MGM and its insurers over the mass shooting at a country music festival on the Las Vegas Strip.
The $800 million settlement will be broken up, with Mandalay Bay's owner, MGM Resorts, paying $49 million and insurance companies paying the remaining $751 million. How much each family will get will be decided by a pair of retired judges. Payments are likely to start by the end of the year.
Fox's Cornell Scott. An arrest made for the ambush and shooting of 2 Los Angeles County police officers earlier this month. Deontay Lee Murray has been charged with 2 counts of attempted murder. Police say he shot the officers while they were sitting in their patrol car, and they say ballistics in another case led to the charges against Murray. America is listening to Fox News.
From the Moss Nissan Traffic Center, we're still seeing heavy traffic due to an earlier accident southbound on 275 approaching Fletcher Avenue. Delays extend past 41 right now. You might want to use Florida Avenue or Nebraska instead. If you're heading out right now on the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, officials are apparently trying to clear an accident north on 275 approaching Pinellas Point Drive, taking up the left lane. Windy conditions on the bridge, so take it easy there. Paige Carrera, News Radio WFLA.
The early fall-like weather has arrived. Tonight, temperatures fall to a comfortable 64 degrees by Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, we'll see a lot of sun, highs near 85, and just a 10% chance for a very isolated shower, mainly farther south. Thursday night, temperatures fall to 66. Friday afternoon, near 85, with no chance for rain as the dry air sticks around. On the water tomorrow, northwest winds at 15 knots, seas 2 feet, and a moderate chop in the bay. You should use some caution if you have a small craft. I'm Max Defender 8 meteorologist Amanda Hawley.
Live, local, and a little different. This is PM Tampa Bay with Ryan Gorman on News Radio WFLA.
Hour number 2 of PM Tampa Bay on this Wednesday, September 30th. I'm Ryan Gorman. With me this evening, I've got Toby out here at Raymond James Stadium. James Berlander back at the studio on the board. Greg Linnelli joining me for this special broadcast. And we are here at Ray J to celebrate the Tampa Bay Lightning and their Stanley Cup victory. This is the Stanley Cup Champions celebration. The Lightning are not sure if they're still actually on the river or if they've ventured off of it and are slowly going to be making their way to the stadium. But, you know, big celebration all across Tampa Bay today. It will culminate in a huge event here at Ray J in a little bit. There's going to be all kinds of stuff happening out here. We've got some local celebrities, local leaders that are going to be out here. We've got, of course, all the players are going to be out here. We've got Coach Cooper is going to be speaking. It's really going to be something else, and we're going to carry it all for you live as it happens. You'll hear it as it happens right here on News Radio WFLA. So for the first hour, we were just kind of stepping through this historic season, talking a little bit about the start to the season and then the pandemic and how that changed everything. And Greg, while I have you here, let's talk a little bit about the playoffs and what you were hearing from the players, from the team, from the organization going in, and the mindset that they had. I mean, you had mentioned going into the season, it was a lot of taking care of business. Once the playoffs finally arrived, what did you notice?
Well, I think it was a team that said, all right, we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go out and win it. Nobody likes to be away from their family for 65 days, which is what the total number ended up being. I think probably for
some
a lot
people
of them.
Don't mind being away from them.
Toby's raising his hand. He said, sign me up. Sign me up. But I think once they found out this is how it was going to be, I think they were like, let's just try and go win it. And they made a tough situation a good one. I think there were some players that were kind of like, how's this going to work with no fans?
Yeah.
We had a bunch of players on during the break, and we asked them, what's that going to be like? Is that going to affect play? Because so much of playoff hockey is emotion, and you get that emotion from the fan base.
And here at Amalie Arena with Tampa Bay Lightning fans, it's a great environment.
We had Greg Wolf on. I mean, he's part of that entertainment.
Yeah.
It would get you fired up. You didn't have that, so what was that going to play like? They were like, you know what? We deal with this during training camp when we do our scrimmages. No different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once they got those round-robin games in, you kind of get a feel for what it's going to be like. They really didn't miss a beat.
Was that almost the round-robin? Was that almost kind of like a second preseason, kind of get their legs underneath them and get organized again? And then playing Columbus.
Yeah.
I mean,
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. You know, it was funny. Right before, when they were figuring out, okay, who's going to play who, I remember going on the air and I was like, Give me Columbus. Let's just get it out of the way.
Right.
I want Columbus right now. Now, even though Columbus had some turnover, and their team was a little bit different, you still had that Columbus hanging over your head. John Tortorella, former Lightning coach.
Yep.
You had that whole dynamic. I felt like if you were really going to do this right, you might as well exercise the demon, and they did.
Did the players feel that way too?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And they were really good in that series. And Columbus came into that series. They were playing 2 goaltenders at the time, but their goaltenders were playing really well. And you didn't know if that was going to be a problem for Tampa Bay. But it wasn't. I mean, they were just the better team, and they were the better team head and shoulders above everybody else who they played, which was really fascinating to watch.
And again, I thought it was noticeable.
Yeah.
The talent level was just different. Now, there were a lot of questions because, again, the Lightning had been on a good run, and then you've got this big break, and was that going to change the game in the playoffs? Was that going to allow maybe a team that's not as talented to go on a run just because everything got disrupted and it was so new? You've got the bubble situation going on, but the Lightning, it seemed like they really didn't miss a beat.
You know what was interesting, too? I think they used the pandemic, for a few of them, and Yanni Gourde talked about this, as kind of a restart. Yanni Gourde was one of those players who played like his pants were on fire the whole series. And he was really good with Coleman and Goodrow. That was kind of the gritty line that went out there and set the tone. Every period, John Cooper threw them out there. He had a little bit of a rough season, but I remember him saying, I used the pandemic to kind of reset a second season for me.
Yeah.
And boy, did he play like that. Plus, they got guys healthy. Braden Point was healthy. He was flying out there early on in the playoffs, and he did once he came back after he was a little banged up. But I think for the players, they used it correctly because most of those guys are in great shape. And while you weren't in hockey shape for a couple of months, they're still highly conditioned athletes that were staying in shape, that figured it out.
It's much different what they were doing than what I did, and I was lucky I was able to put on a button-down shirt to come out here to Ray J because I'm not a highly conditioned athlete, and I have done nothing for the past couple of months but snack all day.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
And once they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, they're playing the Islanders, who, I don't know, were they expected to beat the Islanders? Were a bit of a surprise.
So
how
the
far
Islanders,
they went, right?
the Islanders are a tricky team because they play within their system so well. And what I mean by that is they really don't hurt themselves. And they were led by a head coach who had won a Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals the year they beat Tampa Bay, and Washington was down 3-2. They ended up winning in 7. And they play a hard game. I mean, they're physical, and that was a really chippy series.
It was. Every 5 seconds there was another fight.
Yeah.
You know, it was funny, and I talked about this on the show. At the beginning of the playoffs, when I'm tuning in, when the playoffs first started back up, I mean, here in Florida, we were experiencing kind of the height of the pandemic. Yeah. And I'm watching the fights, and the first thing, usually when you see a fight break out, you're like, oh, this is going to be great. The first thing I'm thinking is, don't breathe on them. Like, there's no social distancing happening on the ice right now.
Well, it's funny, I was like, okay, well, are they going to be allowed to raise the Stanley Cup? What about shaking at the end of the game? Those are things you're trying to talk about for a couple of months while we're getting back in the swing of things. But, being tested as much as they were, I think they felt pretty good about all of that. But
there were a lot of fights during the Islanders series.
And the Islanders are a chippy team. But, you had talked about the difference this team had, and that was one of them. I mean, they had guys that, all right, you want to drop the gloves, Matt Martin, let's go. And they certainly did that. And, the other thing, too, where the advantage was, in that you mentioned Vasilevsky being the best goaltender in this series. These teams had good goaltenders. But, like, Anton Hudobin, I mean, he's been a career backup, got hot at the right time. Good storyline would have been Ben Bishop. Bishop, I mean, that would have been an intriguing storyline. He's an elite goaltender.
Yeah, moving on to the Stanley Cup final, the Dallas Stars, they were one of the top teams in the West, so it really wasn't a surprise that they got there. But like you just mentioned, the goaltender situation, it was such an advantage for the Lightning, and it certainly looked that way. And there were some lopsided games in that series.
Anton Hudobin, you got as much out of him as you possibly can. And the series before that, Semyon Varlamov has been, a starter in this league, but he's run into some problems as well. And I felt like that was going to be a huge advantage in the Stars series. Now, to his credit, if you were to list things as to why Dallas lost that series, I'm not sure goaltending would have been in the top 5. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
What happened, the Stars didn't get as much production from their big guns as you need, and Tampa Bay did. Their first line was unstoppable. I mean, you make a case it was unstoppable for the whole playoffs, but they could not contain Braden Point, and that was a big problem.
What about the overtime games? We had talked about this when I had you on recently about just the toll that takes. Lightning had a lot of overtime games, but they came out in Game 6, and there's no shortage of energy. No. They outplayed Dallas from the start.
They did, and Dallas played a lot of hockey too. You had back-to-back games in the Stanley Cup Finals, which was bizarre. I mean, that's a lot of wear and tear on a team. Some of that, when you talk about back-to-back, that's where skill set and depth come in. And the Lightning had better depth.
Yeah.
Dallas, they did some things to improve their overall team. But like even their third and fourth liners, you weren't getting the contributions you were like Tampa Bay was getting. I mean, Pat Maroon in Game 6, fourth line player, won a Stanley Cup the year before with the Blues. Ryan, he makes a play in the neutral zone where he bats the puck out of midair, gets it over to Cedric Paquette, goes cross-ice to Blake Coleman, the other guy they acquired at the trade deadline, and they score their second goal. But that was Pat Maroon making a skilled play as a fourth liner. You didn't see much of that from Dallas, and that was also a big difference in that series.
You find, there are certain things that, generally speaking, when it comes to that level of, whether it's hockey, football, basketball, baseball, you start to see the weaknesses when you get to like the championship rounds and the depth of the Lightning and the key thing like having Vasi in the goal. I mean, that's all the difference in the world.
No doubt.
All right, when we come back, what I want to do is kind of take a look forward. And I did this a little bit with Kaylee last night, too, just to kind of get a sense as to where things will head in the offseason with this team, how much of it they'll be able to keep together.
Yeah.
And the most important thing that I think Tampa Bay fans want to know is, can they win another one in a non-pandemic year so we can celebrate like we'd want to celebrate? So we'll get.
There's only one Morgan & Morgan for the people.
Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning. For the second time in franchise history, the Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions. Champions. News Radio WFLA.
This is PM Tampa Bay live out at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration. Fans making their way into the stadium right now, awaiting the team. They will show up. They'll take the stage. A number of different players are going to have a little something to say. We'll see the Stanley Cup. Very exciting night ahead here in Tampa. And while we're on the topic of Tampa sports, congratulations to the Tampa Bay Rays, who are now on to the division series. I mean, the Tampa trifecta. It's possible. It's within our grasp. We just need that guy Brady's got to step it up a little bit. We really need him to make sure he's focused and doing everything he can to get us to the Super Bowl. Can you imagine for a second, we've got the Tampa Bay Lightning, they win the Stanley Cup. The Rays are moving on to the division series. They have a legitimate chance to win the World Series. And then the Bucks, if they can get to the Super Bowl, it's here. What a way to cap off. Well, we'll be in 2021, but what a way to cap off a sports year for this city. So let's talk about Greg, and thanks so much. Greg Lanilli is here with me because if it was just me talking about hockey for the past hour and a half, this would have been a much different show.
We take some phone calls and have people chime in.
Yeah, would have been a whole different bit of analysis. So moving forward, this team, is it going to be difficult to keep them together? What are some of the potential off-season moves that you could see happening?
Yeah, it is going to be difficult. Now, the good news is their core is in place. When I say core, guys like Stamkos, Points, Kucherov, Hedman, Vasilevsky. I mean, that's a pretty good core.
Yeah.
They're going to stay competitive.
It's good we're keeping them.
But here's the thing. We don't know what the cap's going to be like next year, and obviously it's not going to go up.
No, you're right.
They lost a lot of revenue.
Yeah.
And I would think at the very least it's going to stay status quo.
Okay.
May go down. I don't know how the league's going to work that out. But Julian Breezewaw has been very open. They're going to have to make some changes. Now, they have to sign a couple of restricted key free agents, meaning you can sign them and another team can come in and match it. But if they do that, they have to give up some draft picks for that to happen. So, could happen. But guys like Anthony Cirelli, a young centerman, good two-way player. Mikhail Sergachev, offensive-minded defenseman who took the next step in his development, being an elite defenseman, hopefully again next year. Eric Chernak, physical defenseman. A couple of their veterans are going to have to go. And those are going to be tough decisions to make, but legitimate decisions that are going to have to make. So you can kind of figure out who I'm talking about. I mean, whether it's Killorn, Palat, Johnson, maybe somebody I'm not talking about. I don't think they're going to be able to afford Kevin Shattenkirk to come back.
Wow.
These are guys that had big roles, and that's why I'm going to say it kind of came together at the right time. It was a perfect storm. Like Shattenkirk was getting paid by the Rangers, so when the Lightning signed him, it wasn't a big contract. He was playing for a contract. He's going to get it. Unless he takes a lot less to play here, it's not going to happen.
Discount? I mean, do you find in hockey that sometimes you'll see players, whether it's just to stay in a city because they like where they're at, or because they know this team could go on an extended run that maybe they would?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's happened here. Steven Stamkos and Victor Hedman. Stamkos was going through all of that a couple of years ago. He took less than to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs, where he's from, and take a lot more money. Now, having no state income tax here helps, and I think that's a drawing factor to a lot of these players.
Right.
Victor Hedman, once he saw that, it was kind of a trickle-down effect. Now, when you have multiple players, that might be hard to do.
Yeah.
So, I expect a couple of moves. The core is going to be intact, and they can be competitive for a long, long time. Can they repeat? History says it's really hard to do.
It is.
The Penguins were the last team to do it, but it can be done. You have the best goaltender in the world. That's always going to give you a chance. And as long as Braden Point and Kucherov and Hedman and Stammer, for the most part, stay healthy, you got a shot.
And if nothing else, the Lightning can always go raid the Rangers, because they seem to that seems to be the go-to move.
They might be bashful. I don't want to work with you guys anymore. You know what I mean?
Stamkos. The injury. Is this something that fans should be concerned about long-term, or just the off-season break should?
You would think.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we would be speculating. I mean, the fact that he came back and was re-injured, and I mean, I think you want to see an off-season where he's healthy.
Yeah.
So I'd be a little concerned. I don't know if I'd panic yet. But I think, you want to make sure that you monitor his situation. He's not 23 anymore.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's career-threatening, but you want to make sure heading into training camp he's okay.
Maybe we should let Hedman and those guys handle the cup. We don't need Stamkos lifting that thing up over his head every 5 seconds.
How about if you put him on your shoulders? We'll lift you up and then
like that.
That way. Right.
And then you had mentioned earlier in the show, we were talking about the organization, the fact that there are a lot of young players that they keep developing. So that comes into play now when you have to make some of these tough decisions.
Yeah.
Are there the players that can step up, next man up, and fill those roles from within the organization?
So you saw two guys see some action in the postseason, Mitchell Stevens and Carter Verhaeghe. And those are guys that got a lot of NHL experience, playoff experience this year. I would assume that they come in next year, if guys are dealt, that would be right there. Now, depends on if you trade one of those guys and you get a decent player back in return. Maybe that's something that they would do. They have a young defenseman in Cal Foote that they like a great deal that could slide in and be in your top 6, top 7, which could happen. So they have some options. They traded some away to get the cup, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do.
That's the goal.
You give them credit and the benefit of the doubt when it comes to drafting and developing players, right? Because they haven't always hit on their first-round picks. They found guys like Kucherov, Point, second, third, Palat. The
later. Best teams do that. It's not the best teams. They find those players a little bit later. I mean, for the most part, there are always some exceptions, but when you're picking in the top 1, 2, 3, you're going to get a good, solid player.
You should.
But the great organizations, they find talent in other places.
Yeah, and if you give up a first-round pick to get a Ryan McDonough, which they did, it's worth it. You use draft picks and prospects as assets to go out and get somebody who's a proven commodity. If you're a team that's in a win-now mode, in Tampa Bay, let's face it, for the next 5-6 years, you're in win-now mode. I don't care what the projection looks like 5 years from now.
Right.
I mean, who cares? Some of those prospects might not be very good. But Ryan McDonough is a proven player. He's very good. So win now, and that's the approach they took.
All right, well, hopefully what we're experiencing tonight will be
Dynasty.
Yeah, Dynasty. That's what we're looking for. Greg Linnelli, thank you so much for the time this evening. We really do appreciate it. We're live out of here at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration. The festivities will kick off in just a little bit here. The players are going to be making their way to the stadium. The Stanley Cup's going to be making its way to the stadium. So we'll keep you up to date on the timeline, and of course we'll carry it for you live as it happens. In a moment, we'll spend a couple of minutes talking about the debate last night. We do have to touch on that, so we'll take a little break, talk a little politics. That's next here on PM Tampa Bay.
News, traffic, and weather.
Tampa Bay's News Radio, WFLA.
A day after the first presidential debate and less than a week until the voter registration deadline, there's a new push to get black men to the polls.
Last night was a true demonstration of why voting is essential, voting is important, but more than anything, voting is mandatory for us.
State Representative Keone McGee says in the coming days and weeks they will be holding social media engagements, community conversations, and get out the vote drives. Pasco County election offices are extending their hours to allow more people to register to vote ahead of Monday's statewide deadline. All three of their offices will be open Saturday from 8:30 in the morning to 5 p.m. and Monday until 7 p.m. Game 1 of the NBA Finals tonight inside the NBA bubble in Orlando. The Heat square off with LeBron James and the Lakers in the best-of-7 series. With Florida's News, I'm John Conrad.
From the Moss Nissan Traffic Center, our roadways are in pretty good shape right now. I-75 up to speed between Sun City Center and the I-4 interchange. The Howard Franklin Bridge is all clear. We do have a crash reported at Causeway Boulevard and Windermere Oaks Lane, blocking part of that road, so use caution there. No issues in Pinellas County on US 19 and I-4, still at full speed between Plant City and Tampa. Paul Cross, News Radio, WFLA.
The early fall-like weather has arrived. Tonight, temperatures fall to a comfortable 64 degrees by Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, we'll see a lot of sun, highs near 85, and just a 10% chance for a very isolated shower, mainly farther south. Thursday night, temperatures fall to 66. Friday afternoon, near 85, with no chance for rain as the dry air sticks around. On the water tomorrow, northwest winds at 15 knots, seas 2 feet, and a moderate chop in the bay. You should use some caution if you have a small.
100 Outfast, the fastest team in real estate.
From the 1-800-OUTFAST Realty Studios.
News Radio WFLA.
And online at WFLAnews.com.
This is PM Tampa Bay live out at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration. The team obviously had their first event of the day out along the Riverwalk, and now they're making their way over here to the stadium. That is our good friend Greg Wolf in the background on stage. Up here we have the flyover happening right now. That is a That's a KC-135 that's flying over Raymond James Stadium right now. Pretty cool moment there. I got to be honest with you, it's very difficult to sit here and start analyzing the chaos that we watched last night, but we do have a little bit of time, and it was kind of a big deal. So let me spend a few minutes doing that as you also hear Greg Wolf, who we could use. He's at a 10 right now. Toby, go up to Greg Wolf on stage. Tell him he's at a 10. We need him to use his inside voice.
I don't even think he's using a microphone.
All right, so with all of that going on in the background, let me talk a little bit about last night. Here's the thing, and this is what you have to keep in mind. This is how you have to view everything right now. There's a limited amount of time until Election Day. There's even less time until more and more of the votes, the early votes, start pouring in. So there are less and less opportunities for each of these candidates to make a move. And right now, and look, you could say fake news when it comes to polls all day and all night. The fact of the matter is, the Trump campaign is looking at all of this. And it is clear, nationally and in most of the key swing states, that Joe Biden has a slight lead at the moment. Now, here in Florida, things have tightened up quite a bit. In some other states, key states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, things have gotten a little away from the president. So Last night was a chance for him to, in a sense, reset with the biggest audience that either of these candidates are going to have throughout the entire course of this election. It was a chance for him to go on stage, to sell his accomplishments, to hit Biden in certain areas, and to hopefully start to close that gap a bit. And there really aren't, again, many more of these opportunities left. It appeared that the president's strategy, and you heard it from Chris Christie last night, I mentioned this on our nationwide special, when he was asked by George Stephanopoulos after the debate on ABC whether or not that was the plan that they had for the president, because Chris Christie was helping the president with his debate prep. He was actually playing Joe Biden in the debate prep sessions. He was asked whether or not what happened was what they had planned, and the answer from Chris Christie was no. What the Trump campaign wanted to have happen last night was the president talk about his accomplishments, highlight them, and hit Biden on a number of key issues where they feel he's vulnerable. Instead, what you had was the president constantly interjecting, and I think he was doing it. I think there was a bit of strategy to it. I think it was because he felt like if he kept popping in, that it would throw Joe Biden off and make him look like he didn't have it together. But he did it to such an extent that the entire storyline of the night became about the chaos in the debate, how crazy the whole thing was. You have the president constantly interjecting. There were a couple of moments where Joe Biden interjected too, but not nearly to the extent that Trump did. So you've got him doing that. You've got Chris Wallace trying to get this whole thing together. It's chaotic. The American people are trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Issues, substance, toss all of that out the window. And in the end, that's a missed opportunity. Now, you can believe the instant post-debate polls. If you want, you can not believe the instant post-debate polls that for the majority of the polling that we saw showed Biden as a slight winner of the debate. Take that, throw it out, whatever you want to do. You're not going to see the tightening in this race that you might have seen if the president had stuck to the plan and went in with the strategy that his team prepared for him ahead of the debate. What we saw last night, in the end, is a net win. Regardless of whether or not you think Joe Biden actually won the debate, it's a win for him because how the debate unfolded is not going to help the president tighten the race. That's the key. Everything has to be viewed at this point with so little time left. Is whatever the president's doing, is it helping him expand his electoral base? Is it helping him win over voters in the swing states? And I just don't see how you could have watched that last night and came away saying, boy, he really helped himself there. What happened was a lot of Americans saw a circus. And afterwards, they were disgusted. Maybe they were disgusted by both candidates. But that still doesn't help Trump. He's the one who's behind right now. So when it comes to what he decided to do as opposed to his campaign strategy, and this is one of the issues that you have with Donald Trump, he is who he is. He went with his instinct, and I don't think it paid off for him. And there was also this sense that the aggressiveness, he certainly commanded the stage, and he was certainly in command for the first half hour of that debate. I mean, Trump dominated it. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a win for you. You can dominate something and have it blow back on you, and that was more of what we saw. He dominated the debate, but you have viewers who just want to hear some kind of a substantive discussion on these issues. They're not getting it, and you've got people watching at home saying, essentially, honestly, what Joe Biden said, will he just shut up for a second? And that never happened. And then you get into the moment that became the big storyline today, how the president responded to Chris Wallace's question about white supremacists and the Proud Boys and all of that. The president kind of walked that back a bit today. But look, if you were watching Fox News and their analysts, if you were paying attention to even what some of the president's supporters, pundits on TV, were saying, wasn't a good moment for him. And that's 24 hours now that he lost with that issue. So you had that. You had the just brutal exchange between the president and Joe Biden on Joe Biden's sons. That was more towards the end of the debate, so maybe that won't carry as much weight. You probably had a lot of people tuning out by then, but you have that moment. Now, there were some spots throughout the course of the night that I thought Joe Biden dropped the ball. I mean, to not answer whether or not you're going to pack the court if you're in and the Senate changes hands, I mean, what is that? How do you not have an answer? Like, he just said, I'm not going to answer that. That's not a good look. I also thought on the Antifa point, Joe Biden had an opportunity there to say, look, the same thing I'm saying about white supremacists and the Proud Boys and all of that, I say the same thing about Antifa. There's no place for that in this country. Okay, instead he tried to pass it off. And look, Christopher Wray, the FBI director, did say that Antifa is more an ideology than some normal organization. And I've told you that, and I've had the FBI experts on that have explained Antifa is a little bit unique. There's no like central leader to it. It's a loose affiliation, but there's still a way to thoroughly condemn it and not kind of brush it aside as just some idea. And I thought Joe Biden missed an opportunity there, and he missed an opportunity in a lot of different areas where, as I'm watching it, I'm like, why didn't he say this? Why didn't he say that? And there were some moments where the president did the same thing. Like, you've got a story to tell. You've got some wins during the course of the past couple of years, but it was more of an attack mode on the opponent, not selling his accomplishments, and certainly not really explaining what he's going to be doing for the next 4 years if he were to get elected. And that was the time to do it because that was the biggest audience that, again, the president or Joe Biden was going to have. Joe Biden, one advantage that I think he had was that it wasn't even so much an advantage, it was just a smart strategic move. He looked directly in the camera a number of times and he talked to the American people. That's what you want to see in these debates. Taking a look at the ratings they're in, and over 73 million people watched the debate. Now, that's down about 11 million from the Trump-Clinton debate in 2016. But it's, aside from that debate, it's still the most since Reagan-Carter in 1980. So it was very widely viewed. Now, the question I had last night, and I was interested to find out, was whether or not people stuck around for the entirety of the debate, or they saw the first half hour, they saw the chaos and the nonsense, and they just said, the hell with this. I'm watching something else. I'm going to Netflix or Hulu or something like that. That doesn't appear to be the case. Most viewers, 90%, watch more than 6 minutes of the debate. Just over half watched 56 minutes of it. So once you hit that 45-minute mark, people really started to tune out, which was no surprise. The average person, according to this marketing intelligence company that looks at these kinds of things, the average person watched for about 49 minutes. And then they had just had enough. That's why the beginning of the debate is so important. And that's why I don't think you can declare, if you're just talking about the debate itself, you can't declare one person a winner over the other, because Trump certainly imposed his will in the first 30 minutes. But then after that, if they continue watching for, let's say, the 49 minutes or so, then things start to get crazy. And it's mostly because he keeps interjecting. And what some people might have thought was a bit of a strong performance from the very beginning, he could have lost them towards the end. And Frank Luntz was doing a focus group, and it was really interesting to go back and see what some of those undecided voters were saying. And a lot of it, and I've told you this before, and I know Trump supporters don't like to hear it because you love how the president acts. That's part of what attracts you to him. But that doesn't always play with more moderate voters, more independent voters, voters who are a little bit more on the fence, who maybe they'll stay home, maybe there's a number of different things they could decide to do. That tone and that style can turn a lot of them off, and that's what you saw in some of the focus groups. You have people just say, look, it was disgraceful. It was too much. And I've said time and time again leading up to this election that normally the question is, are you better now than you were 4 years ago? And it's a little bit different this time because of the pandemic. People were doing pretty well back in January. Now things have changed a lot. But the question this time around is, for a lot of voters that the president needs to try to win over, to get over the hump, to win re-election, it's can you handle 4 more years of this? And I don't think he helped himself when it came to that question last night. Now, I think we're going to see a completely different debate when it comes to the vice presidential debate on October 7th. And that one's going to be really fascinating to see Kamala Harris and Mike Pence toe-to-toe. And I think a lot of people, honestly, the takeaway from that is going to be that, you know what? It's too bad these two aren't at the top of the ticket. They're adults, and they're just having a substantive conversation. They disagree, but they're respectful, and all of that. I think that's going to be one of the big takeaways from the vice presidential debate based on what we saw last night. So, look, at the end of the day, it was just chaos. I don't think it was a good moment for this country. I don't think it was a good moment for either campaign. It wasn't a good moment for Chris Wallace. I would like to see both of the candidates have a shock collar around their neck for the next debate, and then whenever one of them gets out of hand, the moderator hits that button and puts an end to it. Maybe we can do something like that. But it's just unfortunate. This is a serious time in this country. We have serious challenges that we're facing, and that was not a serious moment. That wasn't a serious debate. All right, we still got a lot to get to, including bringing it back to the reason that we're live from Raymond James Stadium, the Lightning and their Stanley Cup champions celebration. Tons more to come on this special edition of PM Tampa Bay. Keep it here.
It happens around the clock. Local news. The events in our community that affect your family. We keep you up to date with the latest in our town. Every 30 minutes at the top and bottom of the hour. News Radio WFLA.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I am often asked, what is the value of my case? The answer, of course, depends on your injuries, liability, and the damages to you financially. And it also very much depends on the law firm you hire to represent you. Many times, firms are hired without much thought or research. All firms are not the same, not even close. I know of firms and lawyers who haven't tried a case in years, maybe never. The insurance company knows who they are, too. Some lawyers need the money more than you do. Go to forthepeople.com and look at our verdicts in court. Here you will see injuries just like yours. You will see what the insurance company offered and, more importantly, what a jury decided. You will have an idea what your case may be worth in our hands. And just because you've already hired a lawyer doesn't mean you can't fire them before it's too late. Happens all the time. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been here at your time of need. There's only one Morgan & Morgan. On your cell, dial pound law, that's all. Offices Tampa, St. Petersburg.
WFLAnews.com. Available anywhere on our iHeartRadio app. Now #1 for podcasting. News Radio WFLA, an iHeartRadio station.
PM Tampa Bay live out at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration. I'm Ryan Gorman. With me out here, Toby back at the studio. James Berlander, Greg Linnelli is joining me out here as well. That's our good friend Greg Wolf you're hearing in the background. He's on stage hyping up the crowd. About 15,000 fans are here inside Raymond James Stadium tonight. And just taking a look around, I got to tell you, they have done a fantastic job at spacing everything out. There's some really good social distancing going on right now. Everybody's wearing their face masks, and everybody's here for a good time and to cheer on a team that accomplished something really tremendous. And, boy, what a year to do it in. I mean, obviously, we would have loved to have celebrated this championship during a non-pandemic year so we could properly celebrate it like you normally would. But you know, in a year like 2020 where, let's be honest, just about everything has sucked, it's kind of nice to be able to celebrate something as great as the Lightning winning the Stanley Cup. There's some videos playing now on the big screens here at Raymond James. That's Dick Vitale, who's got a little message for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Is that his house? Is he doing that video from his house?
Does he live here? That looks nice.
That is a nut. Toby's out here seeing the same video I'm seeing. That is a gorgeous house he has. Wow.
I mean, his pool either has a dark paint job in the bottom, or he needs to get a new pool boy.
Yeah, he might need to clean up the water a little bit, but you got the palm trees in the background, nice deck, very impressive. How about that? He's living the good life these days. That's where I would like to be isolated. I'd like to do a little self-isolation at Dick Vitale's house.
You're going to have to come out to my compound.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. We're building the berm around with the trees. It's nice.
Yes. I am very comfortable in my one-bedroom apartment just hunkering down by myself. But I tell you what, looking at Dick Vitale's house, that would probably be a little bit of a better setup if you're going to be trying to get through this pandemic. We're still awaiting the team. So they made their way along the Riverwalk earlier, and there were a nice amount of fans out there cheering them on, checking out the Stanley Cup from a distance. And you know what happens with these things. I mean, everything's on a schedule, but then you get out there on the Riverwalk. Yeah, we saw the players. They were down in the champagne. They had the cigars going. They're having a good time. It's a beautiful day. They're on boats with the Stanley Cup. It ran a little bit late. So they will be arriving in a little bit. And here's kind of the schedule. So we already had the KC-135 flyover a little while ago. That already happened, but when it comes to the actual events as they get going here out at Raymond James Stadium, the players, the coaches, the trainers are all going to be introduced, and then you're going to hear from some of our local officials, Ken Hagan, Mayor Castor, Mayor Kreisman. They're all going to say a little something on stage. You've got the national anthem that's going to play. Then we'll hear from Phil Esposito. We're going to hear from Jeff Vinnick, and then we get to Coach Coop, and the players will follow after that. And it's all going to culminate in a nice fireworks display out here at Raymond James Stadium.
They're really big behind us, too, so we may have to turn the mics down because it was really loud at rehearsal.
Oh, they already did some of that?
Yeah, it was really shocking.
Really? Okay, well...
avert your eardrums.
This is a big rude awakening for me, again, as somebody who's been...
If you would come to rehearsal, jeez.
I know. I needed to go out and do something in public before this to kind of ease my way in, like dip my toe into the water. Maybe just have gone to like an outdoor restaurant or something, because this is very overwhelming. I have not been around people in a couple of months.
And I want some champagne. See, all these bottles, I really want some champagne. But
now, you know what? So they're showing the video that they're showing on the big screens here at Raymond James Stadium. It was the Tampa Bay Lightning celebrating after they won the Stanley Cup. They're in the locker room with the champagne flowing. And there is a difference between hockey players and players of other sports. Because what you'll see, like in baseball, you'll see players wearing these goggles, these like super...
They'll take a puck to the teeth. It's
right.
fine to get a little champagne in your eye.
Yeah, baseball players, they'll wear these super futuristic goggles. God only knows how much they cost. All right, these expensive goggles to protect their eyes from the champagne. We're watching the Lightning celebrate. They got no protection, no goggles, no glasses, no nothing.
Plastic on the walls, though, because you know the building is expensive.
Right,
it's nice
right. Definitely the plastic's up, keeping all the equipment clean. But when it came to the champagne, it was flying all over the place, and they didn't have a care in the world. So I think we know hockey players, they're the toughest ones.
Yeah, gloves are off. That is why I love hockey. You can be the drunkest person you've ever been in your life, and the person sitting next to you is drunker, and you can have drinks together, and you can scream. It's love. Yeah. And then you fight.
Greg, let me ask you something real quick. One quick question before you leave us. Have you ever been at a Lightning game, a hockey game, and have you ever been right up on the glass, like doing the banging?
I have not.
You haven't?
I have not, no. I'm usually high up.
Yeah, you're in the press area.
Yeah.
Have you done that time? Have you been on the...
Look, we're the same group. I like to be away from the people. I will scream and get crazy, but no, I can't be down there. Well, first off, I get like real crazy.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
that'd be distracting.
Stuff happens.
Right.
You're going to have to come bail me out.
Toby would be escorted out. I always thought that would be really cool to just be on, not even because you're so close to the ice, but just I just want to bang on the plexiglass.
Yeah, I get it, because it's fun.
Yeah.
My God, if you have not been to a hockey game, especially ours, my God.
Hockey games are tremendous. Playoff hockey is
the
best. I mean, there's something about it. And then we were fortunate in a way. I mean, I'm sure the Lightning would have liked to have wrapped up some of those games before they went to overtime. But overtime playoff hockey That's, I mean,
so intense.
You got to take some medication to calm yourself down.
When they go to empty net, I always will sit and watch, and I'm like, I don't know why people go to an empty net. Every time somebody goes to an empty net, there's another score. You bring them back out again, and we still won. Like, I just don't understand empty net, but,
Greg, final question for you. Because you're so into hockey and you do what you do with the Lightning, are people always asking you? People don't understand the rules for hockey. They don't get what icing is or offsides.
A lot of people in Tampa Bay have, and you just talked like Dave Michigan and Phil Esposito, who have been here longer than I have in this area, have gotten a ton better when it comes to the rules and basically know what's going on.
Okay.
They've been great. So they know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Because I feel like
I mean, look, it can be a complicated game at times.
Yeah,
for sure.
People would be texting you all the time, like, wait, what's your...
No, I've never received a text like,
really?
What is that?
Okay.
Now, that might be because I just don't like talking to people.
You're like, that was on vibrate? I don't know. We're doing a show here.
Delete. No.
Google it.
I had an old coworker. She knew all of the rules. And we would watch it, and I'm like, I don't need the explanation. Like, I see what's happening. Like, all that middle stuff. I'm like, I get it. Just learn it. I'm happy. We're going to get real drunk over here at the bar and be screaming at, like, everything. It doesn't matter. I was screaming at you.
It's an event, and it's quite a night out here. It really is something, especially now that the fans are in the stands and you can start to feel the energy.
It's loud.
Again, we're out at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration. About 15,000 fans are here, socially distanced, wearing face masks, keeping it safe. And the players will be here soon, too. They're going to take the stage with the Stanley Cup. We're going to hear from Killorn, Hedman, Maroon, Stamkos, all the top Lightning players, all the players. Everybody's going to be up there. Everybody's going to have a little something to say.
You get it. You get a format here. You get an opportunity to do it.
It's going to be a really great night. And again, you can hear it all as it happens right here on News Radio WFLA. If we have to go a little long tonight, we'll go a little long tonight. It's one of those nights. Doesn't happen every year where you win a Stanley Cup. So we're going to take full advantage of it and enjoy ourselves. And we hope you enjoy it as well, listening to News Radio.
To learn more and check your registration status today.
News, traffic, and weather.
This is News Radio, WFLA Tampa and WXTV HD2 Clearwater.
New negotiations are giving some hope that another round of coronavirus relief could be on the way. On Fox and Friends, Florida Senator Marco Rubio said companies like Disney are laying off thousands.
I was raised by 2 hotel workers. I can't imagine what would have happened to us or what our life would have been like had those jobs been lost. So I hope they will stop playing games and get this thing done. We got to get this done.
As the coronavirus pandemic continues to impact Central Florida tourism, pink slips are being handed out at Disney.
Disney has notified the state they're laying off some 6,700 non-union employees at Walt Disney World. They'll be out of a job come December, and they're part of the 28,000 company-wide layoffs that Disney announced Tuesday. The company blames the workforce reduction on the continuing business impacts of the pandemic, including lower attendance at Disney World. I'm Alan Spector.
Florida is reporting 1,948 new coronavirus cases and 174 additional resident deaths. The state's recorded more than 706,500 infections since March. Ground crews keep working to launch 3 different missions from the Space Coast. Weather delayed last night's attempt by United Launch Alliance to send a Delta IV Heavy rocket into space with Advanced Spy satellite. That liftoff now set for 11:54 tonight. SpaceX hopes to launch Falcon 9 rockets both tomorrow and Friday. The recent nor'easter that stirred up high surf also churned up a piece of history from the ocean floor. A large piece of World War II-era Navy plane called an F-4F Wildcat washed ashore on South Ponte Vedra Beach. Marine archaeologist Chuck Mead tells First Coast News the plane may have been part of an aircraft carrier group operating out of Mayport Naval Station.
Champions News Radio WFLA.
News, I'm Rich Dennison. Lawmakers have averted another government shutdown as the Senate tonight matches up with a House-approved short-term spending plan to keep federal agencies operating.
The yeas are 84, the nays are 10. The bill is passed.
The measure now goes to the president for his signature. Congress had faced a midnight deadline to approve the so-called continuing resolution that will keep federal money flowing until mid-December. The NFL today postponing Sunday's game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and Tennessee Titans after several players and staff tested positive for coronavirus. Britain may reinstate some COVID-19 restrictions.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is saying he doesn't want to impose a second nationwide lockdown, but a senior advisor is warning Britain's outbreak is not under control, with thousands of new cases recorded each day. The Prime Minister says tighter rules could follow.
Fox's Simon Owen. America is listening to Fox News.
From the Florida Central Credit Union Home Loans Traffic Center, we have a crash reported I-75 northbound just past Selman Expressway in Brandon. It's on the right shoulder. I-4 westbound, there's an object blocking the right lane just before the Selman connector, so use caution there and stay to your left. 275 is in good shape. The bridges and causeways are all clear of any problems. And I-4 at full speed between Plant City and Tampa. Paul Cross, News Radio, WFLA.
The early fall-like weather has arrived. Tonight, temperatures fall to a comfortable 64 degrees by Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, we'll see a lot of sun, highs near 85, and just a 10% chance for a very isolated shower, mainly farther south. Thursday night, temperatures fall to 66. Friday afternoon, near 85, with no chance for rain as the dry air sticks around. On the water tomorrow, northwest winds at 15 knots, seas 2 feet, and a moderate chop in the bay. You should use some caution if you have a small craft. I'm Max Defender 8 meteorologist Amanda Holly.
Live, local, and a little different. This is PM Tampa Bay with Ryan Gorman on News Radio WFLA.
Hour number 3 of PM Tampa Bay live out at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration. About 15,000 lucky fans are here inside the stadium waiting for the team to show up to see the Stanley Cup, to cheer on what was just a really, really talented team that, I mean, they did it this year in 2020 despite, a number of different circumstances that were making this whole thing very unusual with the pandemic and the bubble up in Canada and all that. None of it affected this Lightning team. They were able to do what they had set out to do the past couple of seasons and bring the Stanley Cup back to the Tampa Bay area. And something we've talked about on PM Tampa Bay a lot when it comes to the pandemic and the virus and everything is, how to do different things. And I've said, we got to take a look at the science, but we have to use some common sense too. And what I'm seeing here in Raymond James Stadium is it's a very good setup. I mean, people are spread out throughout the stands.
This place is huge. I'm never in this location for games. Oh my God. It's crazy.
And that's why, when it came to the Bucks, and this is obviously a season a lot of people are very interested in with Tom Brady now here, that's why it makes sense to have some fans in the stands for the Tampa Bay Bucks games. You can do it. Plus, we're outdoors. Everybody that I can see is adhering to the wearing of their face masks. I mean, that's not something that I don't think is going to be tolerated if they start taking them off. So there are ways to do something like this. Now, and honestly, the bigger problem is not what's happening here tonight or what would potentially happen on a football Sunday with the Bucks. The problem is what we saw when the Lightning watch parties were happening in some of the bars and all caution was thrown to the wind. Those are the more dangerous situations than this. This is a great setup they've got.
I've hidden behind a couple of our tables for gigs because I'm like, you people are a little too curious as to what's going on over here. I'm just going to hide.
And this is the first time that I've been out interacting with people, and there really hasn't been a lot of interaction because the whole social distancing thing, there's been no handshaking. So I got to tell you, even once the pandemic's over, I hope some of these new norms continue on.
I won't have to shave my beard so much if I keep my mask on. I do like our giant dining room table set up here.
Yes.
Yeah, social distance, just back up a touch.
I'm not complaining at all. I think
we're going to keep this one going. I know our digital guy Munchie is totally into social distancing.
Yes.
But, we were doing it before the pandemic, so we were ahead of the curve.
Right. The no handshaking thing, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah, and, even a little bump, I'm like, ooh, your elbow, I'm not sure where that elbow's been. You could have coughed on that. Oh, my gosh. And Greg is really the problem out here today.
You can hear the crowd in the background getting excited. That's Greg Wolf on stage continuing to hype everybody up.
And politely seated. Like I talked about hockey before, I've never seen such polite hockey fans quietly sitting in their seats until he makes them scream.
Greg Linnelli's here with me. When it comes to Tampa's fans, and look, we're going to be a little biased, obviously, but when you look around the league, there's a difference. I mean, not every hockey team has the environment that people experience when they go to Amalie Arena.
No, and I think they travel actually pretty well, too. I mean, you'll see a lot of Lightning fans in other cities. You talk about picking up the game and understanding it. When you win cups and you win a lot of playoff series, I think you get a lot of transplanters down here. Mm-hmm. And maybe they like Boston first if they're from Boston, but then, Tampa Bay is their number 2 team.
The Rangers.
I mean, that happens a lot. You're going to have that here. But I think the base here, and coming from a hotbed like I did in Pittsburgh, a pretty passionate fan base down here. And that's for all the teams, which is impressive.
And what's also interesting about that is just that when you think Tampa Bay, when you think Florida, you don't necessarily think ice hockey.
Sure.
But somehow, I don't know. I think that's a fascinating question to ask in terms of what the most popular sports team is in this town. I think you probably put the Lightning up there at the top, followed by the Bucks and then the Rays, although...
Yeah, because I used to go and watch them at the Trop, which was, the other Thundery Dome,
right,
or at the Expo Hall at the fairgrounds. Like, we've been fans for a minute.
Yeah.
But that was real garbagey ways over there. This building is beautiful. All of it is so nice, and it's such a great environment. Everybody's totally into it. Mm-hmm. Where you kind of go to Bucks games, and people are just kind of like, there because it's something to do.
Yeah.
No. You walk into Amalie Arena, and people are in it to win it.
The Lightning games are very intense. Hockey's very intense. You just wonder how much of it is the team, the sport, how much of it is that the Lightning have just been the most successful organization here in the Tampa Bay area for a while now.
I think that's the more interesting question, because I think the Lightning have had a longer track record of being successful. Now, you mentioned football. I mean, football for a while you could have said is, regardless of what market, is the number one sport. However, I do wonder, with the recent protests and things like that, if it has taken a hit, and if in this market it is now Lightning 1, Bucks maybe 2, or Rays number 2. I don't know that answer.
Yeah. I think with Tom Brady,
that might have rejuvenated things here. But the fact that we're even maybe having that debate speaks to the success the Lightning have had over the last few years.
Now, let me ask you about that. The racial injustice, social justice movement, the protests and all of that, just in terms of how hockey handled it, because it certainly seemed like they felt they needed to address it, and they did in a way that was a bit different from what we saw in the NBA or the NFL or even baseball.
Yeah.
They did it their own way. The Lightning organization itself and the players on the team, they certainly seem to want to say something in that moment, and they did. It was just a little different because they were up in Canada, in the bubble.
Right. I think they made the issue, the perceived issue, for sure, that they kept saying we need to have conversations, having conversations. That's fine. I don't think anybody tolerates racism.
Yeah.
And I think that was the point. Has there been racism in the NHL? Yeah. I mean, just like in any sport. So I think they did a good job of addressing it. It is a lot different than the NFL for obvious reasons.
Right. Well, the player makeup, I mean,
it's completely different. Yeah. But, is it the NBA or the NFL allowing, different victims maybe to have their name
It was
on?
the NBA. Then the NFL had some things on the back of helmets and all of that.
I don't know if it's on purpose that Gary Bettman stayed away from that for different reasons, but let's put it this way. I don't think it got the national attention like the other sports did. That might speak to the popularity of where things are too. But I think the NHL in their own way handled it as well as you could have during this pandemic and everything going on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, again, goes back to when you're talking about the NBA in particular, mostly black athletes.
Sure.
When you're talking about baseball, there are a lot of black athletes playing that game, and football as well. So there are more members of those leagues who want to say something and want to use that platform. And in hockey, that's just not the case. I mean, I don't even know how many black players are there around the league. Only a handful, correct?
Yeah, I don't know what the exact number is. Of course, Tampa Bay a couple years ago had J.T. Brown, who was in the Minnesota Wild now organization. And, there are a couple of prominent, like P.K. Subban.
Yeah.
Ryan Reeves. Guys who are, legitimate. Reeves is a great personality. He's more of an enforcer, but I think he's a guy that can get the message across. P.K. Subban, obviously, somebody that is a very good player that can draw awareness to what is happening. And obviously there are a few other players, but not nearly as many in the NFL and the NBA. But I think for the players being made aware of what was happening at that moment, some might not be paying attention to what's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. It certainly brought it to light. I think also, too, what was great about the Tampa Bay Lightning, too, is not only coming out and supporting the NHL, they do a great job of supporting military.
They do.
Law enforcement.
Absolutely.
So I think for the Lightning, you look at an organization that covers everything.
Yeah.
They certainly do that.
Absolutely. It's just, you go and you look back at what's taken place over the course of the past couple of months. It's just like another aspect to all of this. Almost forgot that happened during the season, too.
No doubt.
All right, when we come back, we've still got a lot to get to, and the festivities are going to be underway here at Raymond James Stadium real soon. This is a special edition of PM Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup.
PM Tampa Bay continues with Ryan Gorman on News Radio WFLA.
We are live out at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions Celebration. I'm Ryan Gorman, and joining me out here right now, we have a special guest, Tampa Mayor Jane Castor. Mayor, how are you?
I am good. I am not sure if anyone has heard, but we are the 2020 Stanley Cup champions. How exciting is this?
It is incredible. Boy, we really needed this as a city, didn't we?
We did. We did as a community. There is no better community than Tampa and the Tampa Bay area, but we definitely needed this lift, and it is just amazing.
Now, have you gone around the stadium? Is everybody wearing their face masks and social distancing?
Yeah.
Are you
well, I tell you, we tried. You know how I am with that, and we have tried. But a lot of outdoor. We tried to keep everything outdoors and trying to keep everybody safe, but also at the same time trying to allow everyone to be a part of this victory. It really is just amazing.
When you were watching the Lightning win the Stanley Cup, I'm sure you were trying to enjoy it, but were you also thinking in the back of your mind, how are we going to do this?
Not at all. Not at all. My only thought was, in the moment, let's bring that cup home.
We'll figure it out from there.
Amen. We will figure it out from there. All we needed was a win.
Such an exciting time here in this area. The Rays, they're moving on to the division series. We've got Tom Brady and the Bucks. I mean, this is just, what a moment. It's a little unfortunate, obviously. This is a pandemic, and it's not allowing us to enjoy this like we normally would to the fullest extent. But it is still exciting, and it's something for people to focus on aside from all the dreadful news that we typically get.
Amen. This is, a ray of light in a rather dark time. But we went by on the river. I went by a guy who had a huge cardboard sign, and it said Stanley Cup, it had a box, check. And then it had Super Bowl, it had a box, had World Series, had a box. So we just got to check 2 more, and we are there.
The Tampa trifecta.
That's
I'm telling you, it's possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility for that to happen. While I have you here, let me just ask you about how things are going in the Tampa Bay area with the pandemic. Where are we at right now? It's been a while since we've talked.
Yeah. Things are going very, very well. Our community, we know what to do when we have issues. We have to face issues as a community. And this pandemic is something that we have never seen before, but our community has stood up. They've done what they need to do, wear the mask, social distance, and so we're probably going to see a spike from the bar opening in schools and things like that, but we'll get through this together. So I'm so proud of our community.
We're starting to see some cracks. Manatee County rolling back their face mask mandate. We know the governor's order took a little bit of the enforcement mechanisms out of what's happening here and in other areas of the state. Are you confident that the Tampa Bay area, the immediate area, Tampa, St. Pete, Hillsborough, Pinellas, are going to hang in there with some of those?
Yes, I am. And really the Tri-County area, because Pasco, Pinellas, Hillsborough, everybody traverses back and forth, and we need to act in concert. And I'm confident that everybody will keep the mask order in place. That is the one simple step we can take to curtail this pandemic.
And then final question for you, the Bucks, they're going to start opening things up for fans. And look, you know, a lot of this, and I've said it time and time again, and you know, we've had these conversations. I've been pretty forceful in how serious I think people need to take this. But there's also a common sense aspect to it, and what we're seeing here tonight, it's doable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Without a doubt. You know, my dad used to say common sense isn't as common as you think it is.
No,
so
it's not.
You see some of those individuals out there, but really, we all have to take these simple steps to keep our entire community, young, old, and in the middle. We need to keep everybody safe, and they're doing that here at the stadium. We're outdoors, everybody's spaced out. The quicker we get through this together, the faster we'll get back to normal.
Yeah, I completely agree. Tampa Mayor Jane Castor, I'll let you enjoy yourself. We're going to keep you forever. We appreciate it.
All right, this is awesome. And if anybody hadn't heard, we won the 2020 Stanley Cup. We are the champions, just in case you missed it.
We are. It happened on your watch. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm
We're
saying.
going to see the ads in a couple of years. They won the Stanley Cup on my watch.
I mean, you saw her with the cup. The photo with you in the cup, that's perfect.
That's right. Nothing else matters. We won.
You got it.
That's all there is to it. Amen.
Right.
Thank you guys so
Mayor.
much. Much appreciated.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you stopping by. So again, right now we have Greg Wolf still on stage, hyping up the crowd. We are anxiously awaiting the players to make their way to the stage here inside Raymond James Stadium. You know, I don't necessarily know that it's pit stops along the way from Riverwalk. I think it's just, you know, enjoying the day and stopping for maybe a drink and
or 5
or 10.
You know how we do. That's really Tampa Bay style.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't something that happens every day. So, there's Mayor Kreisman. He's walking by right now. Mayor Kreisman, how are you? Good to see you. Doing a little elbow bump with the mayor there. So all the dignitaries are starting to make their way in. They're going to be saying something on stage here in just a little bit before the players take the stage. And let me ask you this, Greg. Who are you most excited to hear from tonight out of all the players on the Lightning?
Probably Stammer.
Yeah.
Just because of everything he's gone through, and we talked about the 2 minutes and 47 seconds of playoff time he got and just the one goal. That's movie stuff. And I think his ovation tonight, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, I think so too. This is a very excited crowd. Again, it's not just the fact that the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup. It's that the past couple of months have been so difficult for so many. It's been so stressful. And it's just one of those things where it's a release.
Well, people want to let loose.
Yeah.
They want to let loose. They've been cooped up inside. They've been told, stay in. And, you know, it looks like we're getting this thing under control to some extent. And what a great way to bring sports into the equation.
Let me get Pat Donovan over here. Can you grab Pat, Toby? Let me get Pat Donovan from 95.3 WDAE. He's here, and let's get his thoughts on
He's
all
rushing
this
to the mic.
as well. Yeah.
Turn on the mic, and here he comes. You can hear it crack.
Here comes Pat Donovan.
Pat, keep the mask on.
Whoa! Pat, I haven't seen you in so long. How are you?
I'm psyched.
It looks like it.
We're world champions, and I say we. I didn't do anything, but come on, we're champs.
Now, wait a sec. I appreciate the fact that you're repping the company. You have the iHeart Radio face mask. You have the shirt.
Who does he work for?
No,
I am a whore.
No lightning?
Well, I mean, I got some lightning on my arm. There's some lightning on my arm right here.
Look at that.
I ran out and got the hat. I got the lightning face mask. Mr. Company Guy over here.
I am,
How about that?
Company Guy.
So what are your thoughts, your big picture thoughts on the Lightning winning the Stanley Cup? What stood out to you during this run?
Really the dominance, if you think about it. Series in and series out, the other team might have a shot for a game, maybe two, but the Lightning always figured out how to be the better team. And when you look at how they closed out Game 6 in the final, it was just so impressive because Dallas looked like they didn't belong there. And I had a feeling it was going to be 5-2, 6-2. I thought they would show the urgency we saw in the first overtime period in Game 5. But I didn't think we'd see that level of domination for a 2-0 score. You don't think domination when you see 2-0, but when you watch that game, you're like, where was Dallas?
Yeah, and the point that I've been making over and over and over again, it's like my only point, I guess, is I just feel like the Lightning, they look tougher. They had an edge to them in these playoffs, and it seemed like that really made a difference.
No question about it. And it was some of those moves at the trade deadline and even over the offseason with Pat Maroon. They made a concerted effort, and Greg was one of the guys telling us about it, in the beginning of the season. They made a concerted effort to change the way that they played hockey this season. They weren't going to outscore anybody anymore. They were going to beat you.
Yeah.
And that's what you saw in the playoffs. They could win those gritty games, those nasty games where you had to be the uglier team and you had to get nasty in front of the net. They didn't win those in the past, and they won them this year.
Pat, thank you so much. I hate to kick you off the microphone, but
he's kicking you off the microphone.
I've got Mayor Kreisman right here.
I don't blame you. Mayor Kreisman, take over.
We're going to talk to St. Pete Mayor Rick Kreisman here for a moment. Again, everybody out here for the celebration. Mayor, how are you doing? Thanks so much for taking a few minutes to talk to us.
I'm doing fantastic. How could you not be doing good tonight?
This is not only is it an incredible night at Raymond James Stadium, we've been blessed with this weather. What perfect time for the fall to come.
It feels like hockey season, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. So talk a little bit about just the whole experience. I mean, I was just talking to Tampa Mayor Castor, a minute ago, and, this was something that's really great for the Tampa Bay area. It's been a tough year.
It's been a really tough year, and being able to, kind of escape from everything that we've been dealing with and really be uplifted by these guys. It's really, it couldn't have come at a better time. And so we can't say thank you enough to these guys.
Are you happy that all the events are happening on the Tampa side, so you don't have to worry about anything? You got nothing to deal with over in St. Pete?
Well, I'm kind of hoping I get to deal with this in St. Pete, too, with the Rays.
Yes, Division Series. They're heading to the
sir.
Tampa trifecta. I'm telling you, that's what
it's
we're
going
looking
to
for.
happen. It's going to happen.
So while I have you here real quick, I asked the same thing to Mayor Castor. The situation with the pandemic over in St. Pete and Pinellas County, where are we at over there?
Yeah, we're doing actually pretty good in Pinellas County. We've been averaging about 3% on a rolling 2-week average, and our goal has been to keep it under 5%.
Yeah.
And so, as long as we keep wearing our masks, as long as we keep social distancing, we can keep our restaurants and our bars open, business open, keep our economy going strong, and keep people safe.
What was it, and I'm sure the answer you want to give is your leadership, but what was it about Pinellas County and St. Pete that led that area in particular to really do so well? I mean, Pinellas really got things under control, the best of any of the major counties in the state.
I got to give it up to the community, and especially in St. Pete. We called it the St. Pete Way.
Yeah.
And people, we asked them to keep their masks on, we asked them to social distance, and they did. You have a few outliers, you're always going to have that, but the community, by and large, really bought into it, really followed it. And I think that's why we've had the success we've had.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite impressive to see those numbers come down like they did. Hopefully they stay there. And then, like I asked Mayor Castor, too, the coordination between Pasco, Pinellas, Hillsborough, it's key because
it really
a weak link, and it could really mess things up.
It's really nice because we've got a great relationship. Mayor Castor and I have a great relationship. Our counties get along well. We're all working together. That's what it takes. It takes our region working together. And that's why we'll have success.
Mayor Kreisman, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you having me on.
I feel bad keeping them here too long. Everybody wants to celebrate and enjoy themselves. I don't want to keep questioning away. We'll let it go. I'll have them back on and ask the tough stuff another night.
Everybody loves some airtime. They're not gonna do away with that though. They get a chance to talk, they're gonna do it.
Look at Greg Linnelli, the political analyst here on the show.
We go all day long.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more from Raymond James Stadium. Again, we are live here on PM Tampa Bay at the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration right here on News Radio WFLA. Don't move.
News, traffic, and weather.
Tampa Bay's News Radio WFLA.
The Hillsborough County Commission canceled its meeting tomorrow after Governor DeSantis' executive order reinstated rules requiring in-person local government meetings. Commissioners say they have not yet been able to find a meeting location that fits safety, security, and social distancing guidelines. There's a new hotline number available for those who want to report distressed marine life off the coast of Southwest Florida. Simply call Moat Marine Lab's Stranding Investigation Program at 888-345-2335. Miami Heat players are locked in the Orlando bubble as they try to earn the franchise's 4th NBA championship title. Tyler Hero knows they have their hands full taking on the LA Lakers, but they're looking to make them sweat tonight.
I feel like we have the right pieces to win game one, and that's all we're worried about right now is game one.
With Florida's News, I'm John Conrad.
From the Moss Nissan Traffic Center, FHP and road rangers are clearing a crash I-75 northbound just past Selman Expressway in Brandon. It's on the right shoulder. Cameras are showing the Howard Franklin and Gandy bridges are all clear. We have no issues in Pinellas County on US 19. Some minor slowing to be on the lookout for on the Courtney Campbell Causeway eastbound on the east end, and I-4 remains in good shape into and out of Hillsborough. Paul Cross, News Radio, WFLA.
The early fall-like weather has arrived. Tonight, temperatures fall to a comfortable 64 degrees by Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, we'll see a lot of sun, highs near 85, and just a 10% chance for a very isolated shower, mainly farther south. Thursday night, temperatures fall to 66. Friday afternoon, near 85, with no chance for rain as the dry air sticks around. On the water tomorrow, northwest winds at 15 knots, seas 2 feet, and a moderate chop in the bay. You should use some caution if you have a small
pound lull, that's all.
From the 1-800-OUT-FAST Realty Studios, this is iHeartRadio's News Radio, WFLA.
PM Tampa Bay live out at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration. The fans are in the stadium, about 15,000 fans. We've got some local officials who are hanging around our section here. Not quite sure why. Maybe this is the cool spot.
Can you blame them?
Yeah, maybe this is the spot to be, but we've got Mayor Kreisman, Mayor Kastner, who we just heard from, Ken Hagan, hanging out around here as well. Phil Esposito is over here now, too. And then you've got the TV broadcasts. All the TV stations are setting up because the Lightning are getting closer and closer to making their way onto the stage to begin this celebration. And if you're wondering why, originally we talked about maybe 7:30-ish, this was going to start and kick off here, and now we're at about 8:40. Well, I'm taking a look at some video of Luke Shen and the bottle of wine that he had out on the Riverwalk.
Pretty impressive, huh?
That is quite possibly the largest bottle of wine I think I've ever seen. I mean, that's.
Is it a Magnum? It's the big one.
It's.
It's what it is. A Magnum of champagne is like the biggest bottle of champagne.
It's like a small child. I mean, that's essentially what it looks like.
Can we get 3 here for the table? It's
a right, big table. Exactly. That's what we need. So, so you've got a lot of that going on as they make their way from the Riverwalk over here to Raymond James Stadium for this celebration. And this is a night that, especially with the playoffs taking place in Canada in the bubble. I know there was a small event last night at Amalie Arena, but between the Riverwalk and then this year at Raymond James Stadium, this is their first chance to feel the energy of the city of Tampa.
Let loose. I mean, it's been a while since the city has experienced something like this with all these fans in one place. And you have a championship you're bringing home. A championship. You have to embrace the moment. You never know when you're going to get another opportunity like this again.
And let me ask you this. You were at Amalie Arena, correct me if I'm wrong, last night. You were part of that.
I was there, yes.
That private event. Talk a little bit about what was going on there, because that kind of takes people behind the scenes a bit.
Yeah, so, it was there for VIP members. You had players' wives, family that were able to enjoy. The ice was down, so there was a ceremony on the ice.
Oh, cool.
You had Jeff Vinnick, Julien Brisebois, John Cooper, Steven Stamkos. And then you were able to have the cup. It was right in front of the podium, and you could get some pictures with your family. And the kids were skating around the ice rink. So what they couldn't do in Canada, they tried to do in Tampa, where you were able to see the guys up close. So that was pretty cool. It was pretty neat.
Some of the images that I saw, it looked like a pretty neat moment. And that was another thing, too, that I'm sure the players, they wanted their families to be with them,
no doubt,
to celebrate that moment, but it just wasn't possible. So this is their chance to do that.
And we talk about classy organizations. The Lightning were able to put that together. Greg Wolf is there. John Franzone, who does a lot of the presentation on the Jumbotron, did an outstanding job. Not because he had my voice in the production, but that's really helped. That doesn't hurt, right? Doesn't hurt. But it was very well done, and it's not a surprise the way the Lightning do things.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. We know the excitement level in the stands here at Raymond James Stadium. We've been hearing it now for the past hour or so. But the players too, when they get to take the stage and see the support,
have the dump button ready.
Yes, we will. I'm sure they'll be very excited and letting loose on stage, especially, I'm seeing that bottle of wine before it got opened.
Yes.
I'm sure that giant bottle of wine has
and that was just for Luke.
Consumed. Yeah, right. I'm sure it's been consumed by now.
Yes.
But it's cool just to be a part of. This is something the Tampa Bay area hasn't had in so long. If you think back, it's been a while. And there are some cities, that have gone decades without any kind of championship. But for us here in Tampa Bay, it's been a while, and now the Lightning finally brought it home. And this was one that I think we were all anticipating because they've been so close for so long.
Yes, and I think that was the key point. The other thing too is Tampa Bay knows how to put on a party.
Yeah.
They host a lot of big events, bowl games,
right,
hockey events. So
third
pull
largest
this off.
Parade in the country, Gasparilla. We make a little drinking parade.
But they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so you're able to pull something like this off, and then having the Lightning, which I think, to your point, Ryan, it was a good one. I think a lot of people were anticipating this over the last couple of years, and you never want to do that because you take it for granted.
Yeah.
But I think it probably speaks to the excellence of this Lightning organization for a while.
Well, and I'll just point out, I'm also I'm a big Rangers fan, and that's a team that they were so close for so long.
Are you sad about Henrik Lundqvist?
You are.
Yeah. I see a little. You're emotional.
Yeah, I think of Patrick Ewing and I think of David Wright in terms of New York players that were really great players and people and just didn't get you want to see those guys that mean so much to a franchise win it all.
Close.
Very close. And unfortunately, it wasn't his fault. He just didn't have the team.
So here's a fun scenario. Does he come to Tampa Bay to back up Vasilevsky?
Do you think that's possible?
Anything's possible.
Wait. Do you have some insight?
I don't have any insight.
Is King Henrik?
Now, I think his play is dipped.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. He's a backup.
But there is a New York connection here.
Yeah,
and if he wants to win...
It's true. It's very true.
Does he come back and say, I like McDonough?
What is that about the Lightning and the Rangers and...
Taxes.
Look, facts are facts.
I'm saying... a lot, as you know, a lot of athletes retire here.
Yeah.
It's a hotbed, and the weather's great.
Yeah, right.
Taxes certainly help.
Yeah.
And now you add the winning.
True.
And you can see all the success. Look, even before you had Anton Strawman, JT Miller, Kevin Shattenkirk. You've had a lot of impactful players make that jump down here, and interesting.
And I think the focus on the Tampa Bay area right now, you've got the Lightning winning the Stanley Cup. The Rays are making a lot of national noise.
Yeah, they are.
Because there were a lot of baseball prognosticators that picked them to be in the World Series and maybe even win it. And then the Tampa Bay Bucks have the most, I believe, national games this year of any NFL team because of Tom Brady.
Spotlight is on Tampa.
Yeah, the spotlight really is on Tampa. You add in the fact, we've had some major events here recently. Unfortunately, we lost the big WWE event because of the pandemic, but we have the Super Bowl coming up. So this is a really tremendous time for the Tampa Bay area.
It's because we're great.
It's hard to argue with that.
It's simple but true.
Yeah.
It's simple but true. But, when you talk about all three teams, it's rare to have all three teams be somewhat successful.
Yeah.
And if the Bucks can be competitive.
Yeah, and I think they will be.
Yeah, and I think, the Rays, who knows, make a deep run. Mm-hmm. Could have multiple parades here. Who knows? Why not? Dream big.
It's a really exciting time.
Dream big.
We love a parade.
The good thing, too, is all the sports teams support each other.
They do.
You see a lot of football players, baseball players go to Lightning games and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool to see as well.
And also, we haven't talked much about this, but but I've certainly had some of the different organizations that are connected with the owner, Jeff Vinnick, on the show, because all these organizations do a lot of great work within the community, and the Tampa Bay Lightning are certainly they're certainly up there in terms of giving back to the people of the Tampa Bay area in a number of different ways, which is really important.
Well, and we talked about, the Lightning honor the military, police,
the heroes.
That is such a big deal. Giving money to the local community hero that they do every game. That's important, because that's how you get going to different grade schools and high schools and introducing hockey to these schools and these young kids. It's invaluable, and it makes an impact. And when you do that, you're able to fill up the stadium to the capacity that you can during a pandemic after a championship.
Exactly. What's happening here in the Tampa Bay area, I hope people realize, this doesn't happen very often. Boston, you think about the run that they had with the Celtics and the Patriots and the Bruins and the Red Sox, they had a heck of a moment, recently. But, again, as a New York sports fan, it's horrible. It couldn't, the NFL season's over. Hockey wasn't all that. The Islanders went a little further, but the Rangers, that was disappointing. Baseball, the Yankees, the Mets suck. That's my team. So, you think of that, that's the biggest market, and they don't have nearly the success that we're having here. And it's also how these organizations are run. You've got really great owners, and you've got really great people in the front office putting this all together.
Well, when you're dealing in a salary cap era like hockey, you've got to draft and develop well.
Yeah.
You have to. Because if you're not, then you're going to be a team that's constantly getting guys who are on the back end of their career to fill a role.
Right.
And that's just not a recipe for success.
Or even if you're not in a salary cap sport, when you look at the Rays, they're just hamstrung because of other reasons.
They have their own cap internally.
Exactly, yes. And so they have to do that development and the drafting and all of that the right way if they want to stay competitive for a long period of time. So all three of our major sports teams here, they all appear to be in a great place.
Yeah, they are,
for sustained success. The Rays, there's no reason they cannot continue to keep winning, just like the Lightning. And when it comes to the Bucks, I don't know. Tom Brady, I know 45 was the age that he's said a number of different times as when he might look to hang it up, but the guy can still play just fine.
As long as he doesn't get hit.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, get that ball out.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Right. And he's got the weapons to do it.
Yeah.
It sounds like things are starting to get underway. The local officials, the local elected officials, the dignitaries are now sitting on stage, and they're going to be introduced shortly. There's a video that's being played. That's what you're hearing in the background on the big screens, and it looks like it's a bit of a recap of the Lightning's run to their Stanley Cup championship, showing a number of different highlights, some of the big moments that have taken place. You mentioned Stamkos and just those 2 minutes that he played and scoring the goal and what that meant. Any other moments really stand out to you during this playoff run that you thought had an impact, maybe momentum-wise or in another way?
All the overtime wins.
Yeah.
It was just, they didn't lose back-to-back games in the playoffs, which is just incredible. There's Braden Point. He's made a number of individual plays that just electrify the crowd. I think how physical the Islanders was, and you had some fights in that series. The overtime games, though, the 5 overtime game, that was just incredible to watch, and to be able to come through with that was amazing. And then I think a lot of people are going to remember in Game 6, Braden Point's goal to get things going, because I think that showed you it's within reach here to clinch this thing, and they got it. But I think for me, you're always going to remember 247, Steven Stamkos, and the goal.
Now, Hedman wins the award, best player in the playoffs. What about Point?
He would have gotten my vote.
Yeah, right.
He would have gotten my vote.
It was a bit of a toss-up between the two of them.
And Kucherov, throw him in there.
Yeah.
So those 3 guys were outstanding. I get why Hedman got it. He was phenomenal.
Yeah.
10 goals as a defenseman was incredible. My vote would have been to Braden Point, because he was just, when he, in the Islanders series, The games he didn't play, they lost. The games he played, they won.
Right.
And that's simple.
That shows
that damn good.
Yep. Yeah. Talk about a difference maker right there. Right. That's all you need to know. And you look back, and there aren't many teams in hockey or in any sport where they could lose the captain and still do what the Lightning did.
Incredible. That's how deep they were. But again, it probably speaks to how deep and how good their first line was that carried the way for most of it. Braden Point, Kucherov, and Palat were basically point-per-game players.
Yeah.
Then you take Stamkos out of the equation.
Right.
One of the best accomplishments you can do.
What we're hearing in the background, again, the video screen is showing the highlights of each round of the playoffs. Right now they're at the Eastern Conference Finals. When we come back, we're expecting the players to be on stage and the festivities to really get underway. So we'll take a quick break now. Back with more live from Raymond James Stadium. This is the
WFLA Tampa, WXTV HD2 Clearwater, News Radio, WFLA.
Live, local, and a little different. This is PM Tampa Bay with Ryan Gorman on News Radio WFLA.
We are live out at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration. I'm Ryan Gorman. With me, Greg Linnelli out here, Toby, James Perlander back at the radio station, and the festivities are now kicking off. We just watched a video montage of the Lightning's incredible playoff run. Now the video screen here at Raymond James Stadium is running through all the players on the Lightning. We've got local officials and dignitaries on stage, and we are just, again, moments away from hearing from coaches, from hearing from the players, from hearing from Jeff Vinnick and others. It's going to be an incredible night. The fans, about 15,000 of them here inside Raymond James, just super excited to cheer on their team, to see their team in person for the first time in so long because of the pandemic. So just one of those nights that you won't forget if you're here, and I'm sure if you're watching it or listening to us and you hear it in the background, and we're going to carry the feed live. Whatever happens on stage, you'll hear it here on News Radio WFLA. It's just one of those nights that you won't forget because, you know, this doesn't happen all the time where we have a championship here in the Tampa Bay area. Hopefully we have a lot more of them. Hopefully the Rays, they're on to the division series. Hopefully they get to experience the same thing that the Tampa Bay Lightning have experienced, winning it all, grabbing the Stanley Cup here in 2020.
I actually see the Stanley Cup. You probably can't see him holding it up here on the other side of the old monitor from the television stations in our way, but it's in the air.
It's in there. The Stanley Cup is in the house. So again, right now on the screens, they're going through all the players, showing every player on the Tampa Bay Lightning as they begin to come out and make their way onto the stage.
And the crowd is on their feet. Look at this.
Oh, yeah. There's nobody's sitting down anymore.
No.
Everybody's still socially distanced, but nobody's sitting down. But again, we're going to hear from Coach Cooper. We're going to hear from Killorn, Hedman, Maroon, Stammer. Let's go to the stage, and we'll bring you the feed, again, live from Raymond James Stadium.
First, our training and coaching staff. Assistant Equipment Manager Jason Berger. Assistant Equipment Manager Rob Kennedy. Head Equipment Manager Ray Thill. Assistant Strength and Conditioning Coach and Physical Therapist Brandon Rogers. Manual Therapist Christian Rivas. Assistant Athletic Trainer Mike Poirier. Head Athletic Trainer Tom Mulligan. Director of High Performance and Strength Coach Mark Lambert. Video Coordinator Brian Garlock. Video Coach Nigel Kerwin. Goaltending coach, Ron Shaw. Assistant coach, Jeff Halpern. Assistant coach, Derek Lalonde. Assistant coach, Todd Richards. And the head coach of your Stanley Cup champion, John Cooper. And now the players. Goaltender number 35, Curtis McElhenney. Goaltender number 29, Scott Wedgwood. Forward number 7, Matthew Joseph. Defenseman number 44, Jan Ruda. Forward number 92, Alexander Volkov. Forward number 67, Mitchell Stevens. Defenseman number 2, Luke Shen. Defenseman number 24, Zach Bogosian. Forward number 23, Carter Verhaeghe. Defenseman number 55, Braden Coburn. Forward number 19, Barclay Goodrow. Forward number 20, Blake Coleman. Defenseman number 22, Kevin Shattenkirk. Forward number 14, Pat Maroon. Defenseman number 81, Eric Chernak. Forward number 13, Cedric Hawkins. Defenseman number 98, Mikhail Sergachev. Forward number 37, Yanni Gore. Forward number 71, Anthony Cirelli. Forward number 9, Tyler Johnson. Forward number 17, Alex Gillor. Forward number 18, Andre Palat. Defenseman number 27, Ryan McDonough. Goaltender number 88, Andrei Vasilevsky. Forward Nikita Kucherov. Forward number 21, Braden Boyd. Carrying the Prince of Wales Eastern Conference Champion Trophy. Next up, defenseman, Conn Smythe Trophy winner as the MVP of the 2020 NHL playoffs, number 77, Victor Hedman. And now, presenting the Stanley Cup, the captain, forward number 91, Steven Stamkos. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, members of the Bolts Nation near and far, your 2020 Stanley Cup champion, Tampa Bay Lightning! To begin tonight's celebration, we stay true to Lightning Game Night, and just as we do at Amalie Arena, we kindly ask that you please rise and sing loud and proud with Lightning organist Christoph and our good friend, retired U.S. Air Force Technical Sergeant Sonia Bryson Kurtzy, as they perform our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in our grateful roof through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner
A beautiful rendition of the national anthem out here at Raymond James Stadium. This is the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions Celebration, and we're going to hear from the players coming up in just a few moments. Back with more live from
News Radio, WFLA.
PM Tampa Bay continues with Ryan Gorman on News Radio WFLA.
We are live out at Raymond James Stadium for what is just an incredible night for the city of Tampa. The Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration is underway. About 15,000 fans are here, spread out throughout Raymond James Stadium. The team is now on the stage. The Stanley Cup is on the stage. And we're going to go to a live feed of what's happening here inside Raymond James Stadium as it happens. Take a listen to this.
It makes me proud to call Tampa Bay your home. That said, we're privileged to be joined on stage tonight by a number of our civic leaders, city council members, and county commissioners. And right now, please welcome to the podium Hillsborough County Commissioner Ken Hagan.
Well, thank you, Rick. Congratulations on your retirement. We're going to miss you, buddy. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Commissioner Ken Hagan, and as an enormous Lightning fan, I can tell you I'm absolutely thrilled to be here tonight. I don't think there's a better way to lift spirits during these trying times than to bring Lord Stanley back to where he belongs, in Tampa Bay. On behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, I want to congratulate the Lightning on an extraordinary playoff run that resulted in our second Stanley Cup championship. I can't say enough about the outstanding work of Jeff Finnick, Steve Griggs, Julian Breezewa, John Cooper, Bill Wickett, all of the players and the entire Lightning organization. Thank you all for giving us a lifetime of memories. As we all know, last season did not end the way any of us anticipated. In fact, I can recall shortly after the season having a conversation with Jeff Finnick, and he said, Ken, I can tell you the organization will not rest until we get the monkey off our back next year. And look at what the Lightning did. They were on a mission. They used last season as motivation and would not be denied. To accomplish what the team did during these challenging conditions is really a testament to the players' will, work ethic, and teamwork. Having to win 16 playoff games makes the Stanley Cup the hardest championship to win in professional sports. However, to be in a bubble, away from your family and friends for 65 days during a pandemic, far away from Amalie Arena and the best fans in hockey, to go through all that and to win the cup makes this the most difficult championship run in NHL history. There's no question it was a grind, but the team persevered and did it. And to be able to stand here and to celebrate this incredible achievement with all of you is such a thrill. This organization is much more than a National Hockey League team. As we all know, and as ESPN recognized, on and off the ice, Jeff Finnick and his leadership team have built the model franchise in professional sports and are one of Hillsborough County's most valuable partners. It is truly a privilege to work with the Lightning to continue growing this exciting sport throughout the community by introducing kids to the game at our recreational facilities, thanks to the team's kind and generous donations. In 2004, the Lightning shattered a ridiculous myth that professional ice hockey could not succeed in a hot-weathered state when we won our first cup. Well, 234 sellouts later and a record crowd here tonight of over 16,000 fans is all you need to know about how much this community loves the Lightning. Thanks to you, the fans. There's no denying that Tampa Bay is a passionate hockey town. And if there's anyone outside our community who doesn't believe that, well, we've got 2 Stanley Cup championships we can show them. Thank you for being the distant Thunder during this year's unusual playoff run, and thank you for being the Thunder tonight. I look forward to seeing you next year when we celebrate back-to-back championships. Go Bolts!
Ken, thank you very much. To say our next guest loves the city of Tampa is a huge understatement. She's been our biggest ambassador, our former chief of police, and today she's our mayor. And just like our defense, she'll go nose to nose with anyone out there, especially the ones who shovel snow 6 months a year, who challenge our turf as a hockey town. Please welcome the city of Tampa Mayor, the Honorable Jane Castor.
All right, good evening, Tampa. Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. Now, we apologize for being a little bit late. These guys are smooth on the ice, but they're a little bit slow on the water. And they may or may not have 1 or 2 beers, I'm not sure. But anyway, this is an incredible day for Tampa Bay. I tell you, I could not be more excited. Now, these are difficult times for us. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But we are used to difficult times and difficult undertakings like bringing home the Stanley Cup. And these guys defined what it is to be from Tampa Bay. They showed the resilience, the determination, and the grit that we have all showed as a community here, and we could not be more excited to bring home Stanley Cup for the second time, because we all know Stanley needs a tan. So he is here in Tampa Bay. Now, I want to thank the individual that made this possible, Jeff Vinnick and the Lightning organization. That's for you, Steve. I tell you, the Lightning have brought home the Stanley Cup, but Jeff Vinnick and the Vinnick Foundation and the organization have made our entire community a part of the team. We felt like we were in there in the game with each and every one of you. So I thank you, Jeff, for all that you have done for our community. Nothing short of amazing. You are the Tampa Bay community. And Steven Stamkos said something the other night. Stammer, you said that you have been able to realize your dream. Well, I want you to know that you let Tampa realize our dream. We are the 2020 Stanley Cup champions. Go Bolts!
Thank you, Mayor. Well, you know, the name on the logo reads Tampa Bay Lightning. Unlike many sports teams that anchor to a city, the Lightning call the 7-county area home. Bolts flags fly high in Manatee, Sarasota, Hillsborough, Pasco, Polk, Citrus counties. And right across the bay in Pinellas County. It's a place the Lightning called home for 3 seasons, from 1993 to 1996, at the then-named Thunderdome in downtown St. Petersburg, where today our next guest serves as the mayor. Please welcome St. Pete Mayor Rick Kreisman.
Well, good evening, Lightning fans. What an honor it is for me to be with you here tonight as we get to welcome home the team and Lord Stanley back home here in the Tampa Bay area. On behalf of the 270,000 Lightning fans in St. Petersburg, we want to say congratulations and thank you. We first want to thank Jeff Vinik. Thank you for investing in this team, giving this team the tools they need to be successful. But also thank you for your investment in our community in St. Petersburg and the entire Tampa Bay area. I want to say thank you to Julian Brisbois for putting all the pieces together to bring this team the success that they deserve. We want to thank John Cooper for being an amazing leader and coach for this team. But most importantly, we want to thank the players. It's the players that made it happen. It's the players that we're able to give all of us as we deal with this pandemic. We deal with social injustice. We deal with all the challenges. You've been able to let us get away from this all, to go to a different place, to lift us all up, to show us what happens when you put determination, when you work together, when you have teamwork, and you don't quit. You bring the cup home. Congratulations again, and thank you guys so much for everything. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor. The Stanley Cup is hockey's holy grail. It's a prize that our players, coaches, staff, and you fans have sought since our last run of destiny in 2004. Perhaps none more so than our next guest. He's a Hockey Hall of Famer who scored over 700 goals, 6th all time. But 30 years ago in 1990, he's the man who brought the NHL to Tampa Bay, giving birth to the franchise we've come to call our own. His dream became our reality. Please welcome the founder of the Lightning those many years ago, and today still a voice on Lightning Radio, the one and the only, Phil Esposito.
Thank you. Shoot the puck, you asses. Hey, as Rick said, 30 years ago, I came to the Tampa Bay area, and it was a purpose to start a hockey team. People up north thought I was a lunatic, a raving lunatic, but I convinced them that we play indoors. We don't play outdoors, we play indoors. Doesn't matter what it's like outside. You're in Montreal, it's 10 below. You're here, it's 80 degrees. Where would you want to play? And I want to say this. I had a vision. There's no doubt about it. There was a lot of sacrifice involved, but it was from my love of the game. And I want to say this to you guys. Congratulations, guys. I know how tough it was to get there, but you'll never, ever walk alone. You'll always be buddies. I'll tell you that right now. Now, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing the man that my vision, he made it happen. He absolutely made it happen. And forever I'll be indebted to this man. What I see happening here when we decided to put the arena downtown is what I visioned. And thank Jeff Vinik. He is the best owner and professional starts. Thank you, Jeff.
So,
I was warned. I was warned that when you win a Stanley Cup, when you celebrate over a couple of days in this great Tampa Bay area, when you have this wonderful ceremony with our awesome fans in Raymond James Stadium, that the fans are going to get rowdy. Little did I know, little did I... Well, the player's lovely, but now my wife hates me for saying that. But anyway, Tampa Bay, this Stanley Cup is for you. The support. 10 years ago, Penny, me, and my family, this is a family activity. We bought this franchise 10 years ago, our franchise. And you guys have been there every step of the way. The support we have gotten over the years, through ups and downs, wins and losses, getting 2 games within a Stanley Cup and losing in the first round and not making the playoffs, you have been there every step of the way for us. We have never stopped feeling that love. I cannot be more proud of this city and this region. I cannot be more proud of the people behind me here on this stage and the entire Lightning organization for what they have done and what you have all done for so many years. We have battled. When Game 2 this year in the series against the Boston Bruins, when we came back from adversity and won in overtime to even up the series, I knew at that moment these guys were not going to be denied, and we were bringing the Stanley Cup back here to Tampa, Florida. Now, we're all superstitious, so I couldn't say it, but I thought it for about 5 weeks straight, and we got the job done. It just shows you what great people throughout the Lightning organization and a great city and community support and perseverance and grit and hard work and talent, you put that all together and you get a championship. Congratulations to us all. I have one last moment I have to memorialize up here. Series against the New York Islanders, 3rd round, Game 2, 8 seconds left. Ryan McDonough makes an incredible pass over to Cooch. Nikita Kucherov, one-times it.
Very good. Yeah, baby! Let me hear your voice. Tampa, let's make some noise for the boys. Woo! Yeah! Love you guys. I love you. We all do. That's for you, baby. We all here. Awesome, coach. Here's the best guy in Tampa, in all America.
You scored that big goal. Thank you, buddy.
Jeff! Oh, yeah! Let's make some shit, baby. Yeah!
That is what we call spontaneity. Ryan McDonough passes the puck to Nikita Kucherov, who one-times it into the net for an incredible goal. My family all together jumps up out of their seats, and Coach John Cooper goes. And you know why he's the head coach? Because he did a hell of a lot better than I just did it. Thank you, Tampa Bay. You're awesome. Congratulations, Stanley Cup.
You're listening to News Radio, WFLA.
How about that? A blossoming friendship. They began to bond when we got off the boat, and it continues now. Jeff, thank you so much for those moments. We'll never forget them, and we'll get to enjoy watching those through the years. Our next guest has been the head coach since March of 2013, the longest tenured coach in the NHL. No one can fist pump like this man. Yet his style, humor, compassion, and work ethic have never wavered. He's earned many accolades during his tenure and across his career, but none higher than what occurred in Edmonton Monday night. Please welcome the head coach of the Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, John Cooper.
So, before I get going here, it's a unreal celebration that has to be put on like that, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank every volunteer, every staff member from the Lightning, the fire department, the police department. Thanks for doing everything today. You guys rock. Love you guys. So, I just stand there and chew gum. This is a group of guys that does everything. This coaching staff here, phenomenal. You just look at their power play went 1 for 19. So you need Richie and Newsy to have the penalty kill on order. Our power play went 7 for 19. Jeff Halpern rocked it. Our goaltender kicked everybody's ass. Franjean rocked it. Every challenge we got almost right. Gar and Nigel. Can't do it without them. You need a team. And let's be honest, for a long part of 2020, it's kind of sucked. But I hope that the work that these 28 beauties did put a little smile on your face just for a little while. Trust me, they're beauties. So, the one thing about going away and what happened with us, like when you go through these times and you go through the regular season, you make the playoffs, it's all about who you share it with.
And we went away together. We didn't get to share it with anybody. And, you know, it's easy in the times when you win and you get the 5 overtime goal and everybody's all excited, but what happens in a clinching game when you don't win that game? And who's the shoulder you have to cry on? And when we come home and people have their families, but there's some guys here just because of what's happened, like guys like Cooch, Cherney, Sorelli, Joe, Cernak, all these guys, they don't have any family here. And it's tough. You go through 65 days away, and we get here and we're having this celebration, and some of our guys don't have any family, so you're our family. But we love every one of you. You stuck with us. And then I know they're here somewhere, but Sticks of Fire's got to be here somewhere. I want to hear them. But I couldn't put it any way better than a thank you from the bottom of my heart. Everybody's up here, from our owner, Jeff Finnick, to Steve Greggs, to Julian Brisebois. My son said it right, and he wanted one thing to say to all of you.
Okay, I haven't seen my dad in like 65 days, and I miss him a lot. But to have all you guys here just makes it a whole lot better. So thank you.
That was terrific. What a moment. Well, let's hear from the players. Our next guest is a Lightning fan favorite, long-tenured Bolt, who is coming off a career-high season in goals and points, and always seems to come up in clutch situations and come through in the playoffs. And you saw his big goal in Game 4 of the final. Off the ice, his viral web series, During the Pause, Doc Talk, not only was a hit with you fans, but also helped raise over $50,000 for the Hillsborough Education Foundation. And he's got the championship belt to prove it. Please welcome Killer Alex Killorn.
So I'm just gonna sit on that dock little bay, watching the tide.
I will keep this quick. How long have we been in the bubble? What, 65 days?
Oh, you went to Harvard.
Okay, here we go. There's 2 things I missed since I've been in the bubble. You fans and my jet ski. Damn! You know what? I have my fans. I got my jet ski. Guess what else I got? Stanley Cup! This next one's gonna hurt me. I've been wearing this all week. It's been really important to me. But I think someone else deserves this more than I do. I gotta give this to Mr. Vinnick, who has been one of the best owners in professional sports. Mr. Vinnick, come take this. Here we go. Sit in here. The best owner in professional sports. You earned it. Thank you very much. I'm back. Sit down, guys. You're good. I want to thank everyone else, management, coaches. I want to thank my teammates. Hey, guys, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. Listen. Hey, listen. Put the camera back on me. These guys, what they played through, Eric Cernak had one shoulder, Pointer had one groin. Cooch, I'll get to you in a second. These guys, honestly, they sacrificed so much to win this cup. It means so much, but there's also a lot of people, the coaching staff, the trainers, everyone that was in the bubble. Honestly, you guys mean so much to us. It was such a big part of this. Honestly, it was a big part. You guys mean a lot to us. We couldn't have done it without all of you guys. Seriously. Honestly. I'm happy there's a podium so you can't see my calves. Next, I want to say Doc Talk. Mayor Castor, are you coming on? Hey, Mr. Vinnick, you going to come on to Doc Talk next? This is to Tom Brady. We need you to come on to Doc Talk. Either way, I want to thank everyone. This is awesome. The last thing I will say, I want to thank you to Governor for opening the bars just in time for the boys. Thank you!
Watching the tide roll away. I'm sitting on a dock of a bay, wasting time.
Our next speaker first walked through our doors at 401 Channelside Drive as an 18-year-old first-round draft pick in 2009. He has since morphed into quite simply the greatest defenseman in Lightning history and the best defenseman in the National Hockey League. Already the all-time leader in franchise history for defensemen in goals, assists, points, a Norris Trophy winner, four-time finalist. On Monday night, he added another accolade to his mantle, and you saw it just a moment ago, the 2020 Conn Smythe Trophy winner. Please welcome Victor Hedman.
Hey, let's get the MVP chant going. MVP, 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 MVP.
Wow. They just told me 2 minutes ago that I'm going to have the speech, so I don't know what to say. I'm at loss for words the last 3 days. It's been amazing. And first and foremost, my wife, my dog, Harry, having the patience that I was gone for 65 days to chase my dream, the Stanley Cup. It's meant the world to me, so I know, I'm at loss for words. It's I think Cooch explains this best with the way he says today, so. We wouldn't be here without, there he is. We would not be here without this guy sitting right here, Mr. Jeff Vinnick. He came in 10 years ago and turned his franchise around. He made us a competitive team. We had the chance to win the cup, times before, but, 3 days ago was the first time I woke up and these guys woke up, except Patty, at Stanley Cup champs. Never in my life did I think that I would win the Stanley Cup. There's more people here today than it is in the town where I grew up. So, to win the Stanley Cup, bring it back to Tampa, it means the world to me, and I'm never going to forget this moment. And I'm so proud. MVPs. And now the Stanley Cup is called the mug for a reason. I'll go and show you why. But before that, thank you all for being here. We're Stanley Cup champs, and so are you. We brought it back to Tampa where it belonged.
You know, one of the things that you heard about this year's Lightning team is that they played a grittier style than what we've seen in the past, embodied by some of the new faces brought in by GM Julien Brisebois. Players like Barclay Goodrow, Zach Bogosian, Blake Coleman, Kevin Shattenkirk, and our next guest, who also brought some key playoff experience to the locker room by virtue of winning the Cup last year with the St. Louis Blues. Please welcome the Big Rig, Pat Maroon.
How we feeling, Tampa? What an amazing feeling this is to be with this group of guys right now, especially with the coach, GM. They did an amazing job to be us, and now we're here. What do you think? So, I don't know why I'm talking tonight. It should be like Steven, Hetty, McDonough, Killer. I don't know why I'm up here. Cooch, maybe Vasilevsky, I don't know. But here, we're here tonight. We're going to dim the lights down, and we're all going to get the flashlights out tonight. Everyone get their phones out, put their flashlights up right now. I want to see everyone, all the flashlights, come on. Come on, there it is. All the flashlights, get the flashlights. What an amazing feeling this is. Come on. Unbelievable.
Hey, Patty, you know we're social distancing. Not every seat is taken. You know that, don't you?
But it still looks amazing, Jeff. Thank you guys for being behind us tonight. I love this. What an amazing feeling this is. I was trying to get Raymond James Stadium to dim the lights so you guys can all have your flashlights out. But, hey, too bad. But, hey, I'm the Big Rig. I'm back to back.
It's getting wet up here. And now to introduce our final speaker, please allow me to bring up one of my broadcast partners from Fox Sports Sun. He's been on the air for hours now today. Along with the Chief Bobby Taylor, Brian Engblom, and Paul Kennedy. There he is, the captain of the 2004 Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, Hall of Famer Dave Andreychuk.
16 years. It took 16 years for this cup to come back. On behalf of all of the members that walked forever in 04, I want to congratulate John Cooper, Julien Brisebois, Steve Griggs, and the entire organization for what you guys accomplished. Unreal. Unreal. Killer. We didn't go to bars either. While you guys were playing, we had to sit in our homes, social distancing, and cheer from afar. Painful. Painful. But as the journey continued, so did all of us start coming together. And let me tell you, Bolt Nation was behind you guys 100%. Unreal accomplishment. I could not imagine being away from your families. I could not imagine being away from your friends. To sit in a bubble for 65 days, the mental toughness is just incredible. Congratulations again. Very, very soon, we're now going to look at the Stanley Cup, and Tampa Bay Lightning are on there twice. I will say this, it takes you 64 years before your name comes off the cup. You'll all be dead by then. "14 years ago, we drafted a kid 18 years old out of Markham, Ontario. 400 plus goals later, 6 All-Star games, 2 Rocket Richard trophies. And 2 minutes and 47 seconds of unreal Hollywood hockey. I can only imagine the inspiration that he gave to the teammates, but he also gave it to the whole Tampa Bay community. You now know how hard it is to win the Stanley Cup and what it takes, the sacrifices it takes. All of you are going to go on in your careers. Some of you will never sit on this stage again. And that's why enjoy it tonight, because it might not happen again. Ladies and gentlemen, the captain of your 2020 Stanley Cup champions, Steven Stamkos.
Have a time. Stop. Have a time. 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 Stop. Have a time.
I didn't know I was going to talk tonight. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I cannot believe. I've been in this city for 12 years. I know I'm getting old. But this is by far the best experience of my hockey life. And I couldn't be happier to share with every single person in this building tonight. I love these guys so much. Good. I told these guys in the third round against the Islanders that they were an inspiration to me and my family in this playoffs. We went through some really tough times, and the reason why I was able to keep going was really because of these guys right here. The coaching staff, the ownership, the players, the fans. These guys were amazing. There's a reason why I wanted to be in this city for 8 more years. And it's because we were going to bring the Stanley. Woo!
This city has embraced me, my family, every single one of these players like they were one of their own. And I'm telling you what, I was so nervous watching the last 2 minutes of the final game, but it was all worth it, man. To watch these guys, to watch our whole team win the Stanley Cup, it's a dream come true. And I'm so proud of each and every single person within this organization. I know we've said it so many times, but Mr. Vinnick, you started this. You started the culture that we have on this team, and it's not only the players that you see on the ice, but it's the community. People say about Florida and hockey, but this is the best hockey town ever. I love you guys. We got the cup, baby.
Out of here.
Stop. Have a time. Have a time. Have a time. Have a time.
We love you, Tampa. Thank you. Have fun and let's party!
After party at American Social. Attaboy.
Yeah, baby! Make some noise! Gucci! Yeah! Gucci! Let me hear you guys! Yeah, baby! We did it! Put it all together! Yeah! Stanley Cup champions, baby! Let's bring it! Yeah, the Marcus!
What a celebration. How about that? A boat parade and a celebration like this, it's never happened before. This is incredible. Well, we don't know when next season's going to start. We don't know when it's going to end. But what do you say we all meet back here when it does and do this all over again? What do you think, Tampa Bay? Thank you so much for all of your support throughout the season, the pause, the playoffs, the distant thunder. The wait tonight was all worth it. What a show. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next year.
And the fireworks are going off here at Raymond James Stadium with a full moon in the background. The confetti is flying. Quite a night. The Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration here at Raymond James Stadium. The cup is here. The players are here. Coach Cooper is here. The owner, Jeff Vinnick, is here. And everybody is having a fantastic time. 15,000 fans here as well, all across Raymond James Stadium. This has been a very memorable night for the city of Tampa Bay and the Lightning organization. And I got to tell you, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Things are a little bit crazy right now. But the way this was done, just really a testament to the organization and the city as well. Quite a night out here at Raymond James Stadium. For myself, Ryan Gorman, Greg Linnelli, Toby, James Berlander back at the station, and the great people at the Tampa Bay Lightning. We have had a blast out here. The Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup Champions celebration on News Radio W.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Are Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. I'm not going to answer the question because the question is the radical left. Will you shut up?
The countdown is on. We've only got 34 more days until the presidential election.
Yeah, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song.
From coast to coast. From border to border. From sea to shining sea. Sean Hannity is on. Sean's new book, Live Free or Die, is now available. Feel free to grab your copy in stores and online everywhere. Live free or die.
All right, glad you're with us. News Roundup, Information Overload Hour, 34 days. You are the ultimate jury, the biggest tipping point choice election in our lifetime. Why some are surprised that after 4 years of never-ending, non-stop character assassination, phony allegations, one witch hunt, one hoax, one conspiracy theory after another, that the tensions that have been going on under the surface bubbled over last night.